Introduction. The kindness paradox. In a world that often seems to be growing increasingly disconnected, the call for kindness has never been louder. We're bombarded with messages urging us to be kind, to spread love, and to care for others. These are noble aspirations, undoubtedly. But what happens when our pursuit of kindness begins to erode our own well-being? What occurs when our desire to care for everyone leaves us drained, frustrated, and ultimately unable to care for anyone, including ourselves? This is the kindness paradox, a conundrum that many of us face in our daily lives, often without even realizing it. We've been conditioned to believe that kindness is an unlimited resource that we should give and give without expectation of return. We're told that self-sacrifice is the ultimate form of virtue. But is this sustainable? More importantly, is it truly kind to ourselves or to others? The truth is, kindness, like any other resource, can be depleted. When we stretch ourselves too thin, when we say yes to everyone and everything, we risk burning out. We become irritable, resentful, and far less capable of offering genuine care and compassion. In our attempt to be kind to everyone, we often end up being truly kind to no one. This book, The Art of Selective Kindness, is an exploration of a different approach. It's about learning to be discerning with our kindness, to set healthy boundaries, and to prioritize our own well-being alongside the well-being of others. It's about understanding that true kindness starts with being kind to ourselves. But let's be clear, this isn't a manifesto for selfishness. It's not about becoming cold or uncaring. Rather, it's about finding a balance, a way to nurture ourselves while still being able to offer genuine care and compassion to others. It's about quality over quantity, depth over breadth. Throughout this book, we'll delve into various aspects of this balanced approach to kindness. We'll explore the concept of emotional bandwidth, understanding that we all have limits to how much we can give before we need to recharge. We'll look at the power of boundaries, learning when to say yes and when it's okay and even necessary to say no. We'll identify the energy vampires in our lives, those individuals or situations that seem to drain us without offering much in return. We'll learn how to recognize these drains and develop strategies for managing our interactions with them. Self-compassion will be a key theme throughout this book. We'll explore why being kind to ourselves isn't selfish, but rather a prerequisite for being truly kind to others. We'll work on redefining our relationships, focusing on quality over quantity, and learning to cultivate meaningful connections rather than spreading ourselves too thin. We'll also tackle the often uncomfortable topic of confrontation. Many of us avoid conflict at all costs, believing that kindness means always agreeing or keeping the peace. But we'll see how addressing issues head-on can actually be the kindest approach in the long run, both for ourselves and for others. One of the most challenging aspects of selective kindness is learning to prioritize our own well-being without guilt. We'll work on dispelling the myth that self-care is selfish and learn to embrace it as a necessary part of a balanced, compassionate life. We'll also delve into the tricky territory of manipulation. Kind people are often targets for those who would take advantage of their good nature. We'll learn how to recognize manipulative behavior and develop strategies for responding to it without compromising our values. Throughout all of this, we'll be working on the art of saying no gracefully. This simple word can be one of the most powerful tools in our kindness arsenal, allowing us to set boundaries and protect our energy for the things that truly matter. As we near the end of our journey, we'll explore how this balanced approach to kindness can actually help us build resilience. By being selective with our kindness, we're better able to weather life's storms and bounce back from adversity. Finally, we'll look at how to embrace a life of balanced compassion, one where we're able to offer genuine care and kindness to others while also honoring our own needs and limitations. Now, you might be wondering, isn't this all a bit selfish? Shouldn't we strive to be kind to everyone all the time? Isn't that what it means to be a good person? These are valid questions, and they're ones we'll grapple with throughout this book. But consider this. Have you ever been on an airplane and listened to the safety instructions? You're always told to put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others.
Why?
Because if you run out of oxygen yourself, you won't be able to help anyone else. The same principle applies to kindness and compassion. If we deplete ourselves in our attempts to care for everyone, we end up unable to truly care for anyone. By learning to be selective with our kindness, by putting on our own oxygen mask first, we ensure that we have the resources to offer genuine, sustainable care and compassion where it's most needed. This doesn't mean becoming cold or uncaring. It doesn't mean never helping others or never going out of our way to be kind. Instead, it means being mindful of our own limitations. It means recognizing that our kindness is a precious resource, one that should be used wisely and not squandered. Think of it like tending a garden. If you try to water every single plant in the world, you'll quickly run out of water and energy. Your efforts, while well-intentioned, will ultimately be ineffective. But if you focus on tending your own garden, nurturing the plants within your reach, ensuring that your soil is healthy and your resources are used wisely, you'll create a thriving, beautiful space. And from that abundance, you'll be able to share with others in a meaningful, sustainable way. Throughout this book, we'll be challenging some deeply ingrained beliefs about kindness and self-sacrifice. We'll be pushing back against the idea that being kind means always putting others first, always saying yes, always being available. These notions, while well-intentioned, often lead to burnout, resentment, and a diminished capacity for genuine compassion. Instead, we'll be exploring a more nuanced, balanced approach to kindness. We'll learn to recognize our own needs and limitations. We'll develop the skills to set healthy boundaries, to say no when necessary, and to prioritize our own well-being without guilt. This journey won't always be easy. For many of us, the idea of being selective with our kindness may feel uncomfortable at first. We might worry that we're being selfish, or that others will see us as unkind. We might struggle with feelings of guilt when we start to set boundaries or say no to requests for help. But as we progress through this book, you'll begin to see how this approach actually allows for deeper, more meaningful expressions of kindness. When we're not stretched thin trying to be everything to everyone, we have the energy and resources to be truly present for the people and causes that matter most to us. We're able to offer genuine, heartfelt compassion rather than going through the motions out of a sense of obligation. Moreover, by modeling this balanced approach to kindness, we give others permission to do the same. We create a culture where it's okay to have boundaries, where self-care is recognized as a crucial component of caring for others, and where the quality of our compassion is valued over the quantity of our sacrifices. As we embark on this journey together, I invite you to keep an open mind. Some of the ideas we'll explore may challenge your existing beliefs about kindness and compassion. You may find yourself questioning long-held assumptions about what it means to be a good person. This is good. This is growth. By examining our beliefs and behaviors around kindness, we open ourselves up to new possibilities. We create space for a more sustainable, more authentic form of compassion, one that honors both ourselves and others. Throughout this book, you'll find practical exercises, reflective questions, and real-life examples to help you apply these concepts to your own life. I encourage you to engage with these fully. The art of selective kindness isn't something that can be mastered overnight. It's a practice, one that requires ongoing effort and reflection. Remember, the goal here isn't to stop being kind. It's not about becoming selfish or uncaring. Rather, it's about becoming more intentional with our kindness. It's about recognizing that by taking care of ourselves, by being selective about where we direct our energy and compassion, we actually increase our capacity to make a positive difference in the world. So, are you ready to embark on this journey? Are you prepared to challenge your assumptions about kindness and explore a more balanced, sustainable approach to compassion? Are you willing to learn the art of selective kindness? If so, turn the page. A new way of understanding kindness and yourself awaits. Chapter 1. Understanding your emotional bandwidth. Imagine your emotional capacity as a battery. Just like your smartphone or laptop, you start each day with a certain amount of charge. Every interaction, every task, every emotional experience drains a little bit of that energy. Some days, you might feel like you're operating on full power, ready to take on the world. Other days, you might feel like you're running on empty, struggling to muster the energy for even the simplest tasks. This, in essence, is your emotional bandwidth, the capacity you have for processing and responding to emotional experiences and demands. Understanding this concept is crucial to practicing selective kindness and maintaining your own well-being. The concept of emotional bandwidth isn't just a convenient metaphor, it's rooted in psychology and neuroscience. Our brains have limited resources for processing emotional information and responding to social demands. When we overtax these resources, we experience what's often called emotional exhaustion or compassion fatigue. Think back to a time when you felt completely drained after a long day of dealing with people and their problems. Perhaps you work in a caring profession as a teacher, nurse, or counselor. Or maybe you're the person in your friend group that everyone comes to with their issues. At the end of such a day, you might have felt irritable, overwhelmed, or simply numb. This is what happens when we exceed our emotional bandwidth. But here's the crucial point. Your emotional bandwidth isn't fixed. Just like you can upgrade your phone's battery or learn to use its power more efficiently, you can expand and manage your emotional capacity. This chapter will explore how to do just that. First, let's delve deeper into what affects your emotional bandwidth. Several factors come into play. Sleep and physical health. Your physical well-being has a direct impact on your emotional capacity. Lack of sleep, poor nutrition, or illness can significantly reduce your bandwidth. Stress levels. Chronic stress acts like a constant drain on your emotional battery. The more stressed you are, the less capacity you have for dealing with additional emotional demands. Personal circumstances. Major life events, whether positive or negative, can temporarily reduce your bandwidth as they require significant emotional processing. Introversion versus extroversion. Introverts typically find social interactions more draining, while extroverts might actually gain energy from them. Empathic ability. Some people are naturally more empathic, which can be both a blessing and a curse. High empathy can lead to a richer emotional life, but also faster depletion of emotional resources. Emotional regulation skills. The better you are at managing your own emotions, the more bandwidth you'll have for dealing with others. Understanding these factors is the first step in managing your emotional bandwidth more effectively. The next step is learning to recognize when you're approaching your limits. Signs that you're running low on emotional bandwidth might include feeling irritable or short-tempered, difficulty concentrating or making decisions, physical symptoms like headaches or tension, a sense of numbness or disconnection, decreased patience or tolerance for others, feeling overwhelmed by tasks that normally wouldn't bother you. Recognizing these signs early is crucial. It allows you to take action before you reach complete emotional exhaustion. So, how can you expand and better manage your emotional bandwidth? Here are some strategies. Prioritize self-care. This isn't selfish, it's necessary. Ensure you're getting enough sleep, eating well, and exercising regularly. These basic physical needs have a profound impact on your emotional capacity. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness meditation can help you become more aware of your emotional state and more skilled at managing your reactions. Even a few minutes a day can make a difference. Set boundaries. Learn to say no to additional commitments when you're feeling stretched. It's okay to protect your emotional resources. Schedule downtime. Make sure you have regular periods of rest and recuperation. This might mean setting aside time each day for a relaxing activity, or ensuring you have proper vacations and breaks. Cultivate positive emotions. Engage in activities that bring you joy and peace. Positive emotions can help replenish your emotional resources. Improve your emotional intelligence. Work on recognizing and understanding your own emotions and those of others. This can help you navigate emotional situations more efficiently. Seek support. Don't try to handle everything alone. Having a support network can significantly expand your emotional bandwidth. Remember, managing your emotional bandwidth isn't about becoming cold or uncaring. It's about ensuring that you have the resources to offer genuine care and compassion when it's most needed. By understanding and respecting your limits, you're actually increasing your capacity to be kind in a meaningful, sustainable way. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to use this understanding of emotional bandwidth to set healthy boundaries, deciding when to say yes and when it's okay and necessary to say no. Chapter 2. The Power of Boundaries. When to say yes and when to say no. Boundaries. The word itself might evoke images of fences or walls, structures designed to keep things out. But when it comes to emotional and interpersonal boundaries, the reality is far more nuanced and powerful. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about defining where you end and others begin. They're about understanding and communicating your limits, needs, and expectations. In the context of selective kindness, boundaries are your secret weapon. They allow you to be genuinely kind and compassionate without depleting yourself. They're the tool that helps you manage your emotional bandwidth effectively. But for many of us, setting and maintaining boundaries can be challenging. We might worry about seeming unkind or selfish. We might fear rejection or conflict. We might have grown up in environments where our boundaries weren't respected, leading us to believe that we don't have the right to set them. Let's start by dispelling some myths about boundaries. Myth 1. Setting boundaries is selfish. Reality. Boundaries are a form of self-respect and self-care. They allow you to be your best self, which in turn enables you to be truly kind and helpful to others. Myth 2. Boundaries push people away. Reality. Clear, respectful boundaries actually foster healthier, more authentic relationships. Myth 3. I don't have the right to set boundaries. Reality. Everyone has the right to set boundaries. It's a fundamental aspect of personal autonomy and mental health. Myth 4. If I set boundaries, I'll never help anyone. Reality. Boundaries don't mean never helping, they mean helping in ways that are sustainable and genuinely beneficial. Now that we've cleared those up, let's delve into the how and why of boundary setting. Why set boundaries? 1. Preserve your emotional energy. As we discussed in the previous chapter, your emotional energy is finite. Boundaries help you allocate this energy wisely. 2. Foster authentic relationships. When you're clear about your limits and needs, you invite others to do the same, leading to more honest, mutually respectful relationships. 3. Prevent resentment. Constantly overextending yourself leads to burnout and resentment. Boundaries prevent this by ensuring you're not giving more than you can sustainably offer. 4. Enhance self-esteem. Setting and maintaining boundaries is an act of self-respect. It reinforces the idea that your needs and feelings matter. 5. Improve mental health. Clear boundaries reduce stress and anxiety by giving you more control over your life and interactions. How to set boundaries. 1. Know your limits. Reflect on your values, needs, and emotional bandwidth. What's truly important to you? What drains you? 2. Be clear and direct. When communicating a boundary, be specific and straightforward. Instead of, maybe next time, try, I'm not available for that. 3. Use I statements. Frame your boundaries in terms of your own needs and feelings, not as accusations or demands. I need some alone time is more effective than you're always bothering me. 4. Start small. If setting boundaries is new to you, start with low-stakes situations. As you gain confidence, you can tackle more challenging areas. 5. Be consistent. Once you've set a boundary, stick to it. Inconsistency sends mixed messages and undermines your efforts. 6. Expect pushback. Some people might not like your new boundaries at first. That's okay. Stay firm but kind. 7. Practice self-compassion. Setting boundaries can feel uncomfortable at first. Be patient and kind with yourself as you learn this new skill. When to say yes. Saying yes is just as important as saying no when it comes to boundaries. The key is to say yes to things that align with your values, energize you, and fit within your current emotional bandwidth. Here are some guidelines. 1. It aligns with your values. Does the request or opportunity resonate with what's truly important to you? 2. You have the capacity. Do you genuinely have the time and energy to commit to this? 3. It's reciprocal. In relationships, is there a healthy give and take? 4. It brings you joy. Does the thought of saying yes make you feel excited or content? 5. It's growth-oriented. Will saying yes lead to personal or professional growth? When to say no. Saying no can be challenging, but it's a crucial skill for maintaining healthy boundaries. Consider saying no when 1. It violates your values. If a request goes against your principles, it's important to decline. 2. You're already overcommit. If your plate is full, taking on more can lead to burnout. 3. It's a consistent drain. If someone or something consistently depletes your energy without reciprocation, it's time to set a boundary. 4. Your gut says no. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. 5. It's not your responsibility. Be wary of taking on others' responsibilities out of a misplaced sense of obligation. Remember, saying no doesn't make you a bad person. In fact, it often makes you a more reliable, authentic, and genuinely helpful person in the long run. Boundaries in practice. Let's look at some practical examples of setting boundaries. 1. At work, I'm not available to take on extra projects right now as I need to focus on my current priorities. 2. With friends, I care about you, but I'm not comfortable lending money. Let's explore other ways I might be able to help. 3. In relationships, I need some alone time each day to recharge. It's not about you. It's about maintaining my mental health. 4. With family, I appreciate the invitation, but we won't be able to visit for the entire holiday. We'll come for Christmas Day. 5. With yourself, I commit to not checking work emails after 7 p.m. to ensure I have time to relax and connect with my family. As you practice setting boundaries, you'll likely find that your relationships improve, your stress levels decrease, and your capacity for genuine kindness expands. You'll be able to give more fully and authentically in the areas that truly matter to you. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to identify and manage energy vampires, those people and situations that seem to constantly drain your emotional resources. With your newfound understanding of boundaries, you'll be well equipped to handle these challenges. Chapter 3. Identifying energy vampires in your life. In the intricate tapestry of our social lives, we encounter a wide variety of personalities. Some leave us feeling invigorated and inspired, while others seem to drain our energy, leaving us exhausted and emotionally depleted. These latter individuals are often referred to as energy vampires, a vivid term that captures their uncanny ability to sap our emotional and mental resources. It's crucial to understand that energy vampires aren't necessarily bad people, nor are they always aware of the effect they have on others. They might be going through difficult times themselves, struggling with mental health issues, or simply have personality traits or habits that unintentionally drain those around them. The key is not to demonize these individuals, but to recognize the impact they have on our own well-being and learn strategies to protect our emotional energy. Common types of energy vampires. 1. The chronic complainer. These individuals seem to have a problem for every solution. They're rarely satisfied and tend to focus on the negative aspects of any situation. Example, Sarah has a coworker, Tom, who starts every morning by listing all the things wrong with his commute, his breakfast, the weather, and the day ahead. By the time their first meeting starts, Sarah already feels drained and pessimistic. 2. The drama magnet. Their lives seem to be a constant series of crises. They thrive on chaos and often draw others into their tumultuous world. Example, John's friend Maria always seems to be in the middle of some crisis. One week her car breaks down, the next her landlord is unfairly evicting her, then she's in a fight with her boyfriend. John finds himself constantly worried about Maria and exhausted from trying to help her navigate her latest emergency. 3. The perfectionist. Nothing is ever good enough for these individuals, including their own efforts and those of others around them. Example, Lisa's boss, Mr. Parker, is never satisfied with her work. No matter how many hours she puts in or how much she achieves, he always finds something to criticize. Lisa finds herself constantly anxious and second-guessing every decision. 4. The victim. These people believe that the world is against them. Bad things always happen to them, and it's never their fault. Example, David has a cousin, Emma, who constantly talks about how unfair life is to her. She didn't get the promotion because her boss hates her, her friends ditched her because they're jealous, her car broke down because the mechanic sabotaged it. David feels exhausted trying to reassure her and offer perspective. 5. The narcissist. Everything revolves around them. They dominate conversations, demand attention, and show little interest in others' feelings or experiences. Example, Rachel's friend Zoe never asks how Rachel is doing. When they meet, Zoe launches into monologues about her life, her problems, her achievements. If Rachel tries to share something about herself, Zoe quickly brings the conversation back to herself. Rachel leaves these interactions feeling invisible and unimportant. 6. The guilt tripper. Masters of manipulation. These individuals excel at making others feel bad for not meeting their expectations. Example: Mike's mother often says things like, "I guess you're too busy to call your poor old mother," or "It's fine. I'll just sit here alone on my birthday." Mike finds himself constantly feeling guilty and stressed about not doing enough for her. 7. The interrupter. These people consistently cut others off mid-sentence, never allowing a complete thought to be expressed. Example: During team meetings, Alex finds it impossible to finish a sentence because his colleague, Jared, constantly interrupts with his own ideas or tangential thoughts. Alex leaves meetings feeling frustrated and unheard. 8. The passive-aggressive. These individuals say one thing but mean another, leaving others confused and often blamed for misunderstandings. Example: Samantha's roommate, Kate, often says she's fine with Samantha's guests coming over, but then slams doors and makes pointed comments about noise and mess. Samantha feels constantly on edge, trying to decipher Kate's true feelings and avoid conflict. Signs you're dealing with an energy vampire. 1. Physical exhaustion. After interacting with them, you feel physically tired, as if you've run a marathon. 2. Emotional drainage. You feel emotionally depleted, perhaps even depressed or anxious, after spending time with them. 3. Avoidance. You start to dread or actively avoid their company. 4. Mood changes. Your mood significantly drops after interactions with them. 5. Taking on their problems. You find yourself overly involved or worried about their issues. 6. Suppressing your needs. Around them, you feel pressured to ignore your own needs or feelings. 7. Self-doubt. You're often left questioning yourself or feeling confused after interactions. 8. Time loss. You realize that interactions with them often take much longer than intended, leaving you behind on other tasks. 9. Physical symptoms. You might experience headaches, muscle tension, or other physical stress symptoms when dealing with them or anticipating interactions. 10. Energy imbalance. You notice that the relationship is one-sided, with you giving much more energy than you receive. Strategies for dealing with energy vampires. 1. Set clear boundaries. This is perhaps the most crucial strategy. Use the skills from the previous chapter to establish and maintain healthy limits. Example: Sarah decided to limit her morning interactions with Tom. She politely but firmly told him, "I'm sorry you're having a rough morning, Tom, but I need to focus on preparing for our meeting now." She then turned her attention to her work, setting a clear boundary. 2. Limit exposure. When possible, reduce the amount of time you spend with energy-draining individuals. Example: John began to limit his in-person meetings with Maria, opting for shorter phone calls instead. He also started setting a specific time limit for these calls, explaining that he had other commitments to attend to. 3. Don't engage. Avoid getting pulled into drama or circular conversations. Acknowledge their feelings without taking responsibility for them. Example: When Emma started her usual complaints about how unfair life was, David began to respond with neutral statements like, "That sounds frustrating," without offering solutions or getting drawn into extended discussions. 4. Practice emotional detachment. Learn to separate yourself emotionally from their problems or moods. Example: Rachel started to visualize a protective bubble around herself when interacting with Zoe. This mental image helped her listen without absorbing Zoe's emotional energy. 5. Redirect conversations. Guide discussions towards more positive or constructive topics. Example: When his mother started guilt-tripping him, Mike began to redirect the conversation to positive topics, asking about her garden or sharing funny stories about his kids. 6. Boost your own energy. Before and after interactions with energy vampires, engage in activities that replenish your emotional reserves. Example: Alex started taking a short walk outside after meetings with Jared, using this time to clear his mind and recharge. 7. Seek support. Share your experiences with trusted friends or a therapist to gain perspective and support. Example: Samantha joined a support group for people dealing with difficult roommates. Sharing her experiences and hearing other stories helped her feel less alone and gave her new strategies to try. 8. Know when to walk away. In some cases, it may be necessary to end or significantly alter a relationship for your own well-being. Example, after months of trying different strategies, Lisa eventually decided to look for a new job. The constant criticism from her perfectionist boss was taking too great a toll on her mental health. Real-life scenario: dealing with multiple energy vampires. Let's consider the case of Emily, a kind-hearted individual who found herself surrounded by several energy vampires in different areas of her life. At work, Emily had a colleague, Mark, who was a chronic complainer. He would corner her at the coffee machine every morning, lamenting about everything from office politics to his personal life. Emily initially tried to be supportive, offering sympathy and advice, but soon found herself dreading these encounters and starting her workday feeling drained. In her personal life, Emily had a friend, Jessica, who was a drama magnet. Jessica's life seemed to be a constant roller coaster of relationship drama, financial crises, and family conflicts. She would call Emily at all hours, expecting her to drop everything and provide emotional support or practical help. Even at home, Emily couldn't escape energy-draining interactions. Her neighbor, an elderly woman named Mrs. Thompson, was a guilt tripper who frequently asked for help with various tasks, making Emily feel guilty if she couldn't immediately assist. Emily realized she was constantly exhausted, anxious, and unable to focus on her own needs and goals. She decided it was time to take action. 1. With Mark, Emily set clear boundaries. She started limiting her time at the coffee machine, and when Mark approached her, she would politely say, "I'm sorry you're having a tough time, Mark, but I need to get started on my work now." She then would promptly return to her desk. 2. For Jessica, Emily practiced emotional detachment and redirecting conversations. When Jessica called with her latest crisis, Emily would listen briefly, then say something like, "That sounds really challenging. Have you considered speaking to a therapist about this? They might be able to offer more helpful strategies than I can." She also started setting time limits on their calls. 3. With Mrs. Thompson, Emily learned to say no without guilt. She explained to Mrs. Thompson that while she was happy to help occasionally, she also had her own responsibilities to manage. She helped Mrs. Thompson connect with local community services that could provide more consistent assistance. 4. Emily also focused on replenishing her own energy. She started a morning yoga practice, joined a book club to connect with new people, and set aside time each week for activities she enjoyed. 5. She sought support by confiding in her sister and a close friend about her struggles. Their outside perspective helped Emily see that she wasn't responsible for solving everyone else's problems. Over time, Emily noticed significant improvements. She had more energy for her own pursuits, her anxiety decreased, and she even found that some of her relationships improved as she established healthier boundaries. Mark started to complain less around her, Jessica began to develop better coping mechanisms, and Mrs. Thompson became more respectful of Emily's time. Importantly, Emily realized that she wasn't being unkind by protecting her energy. In fact, she was now able to be more genuinely present and supportive in her interactions because she was no longer constantly depleted. Identifying and managing energy vampires in our lives is not about labeling people as toxic or cutting off all challenging relationships. Rather, it's about recognizing patterns of interaction that deplete our emotional resources and taking steps to protect our own well-being. It's about learning to be selectively kind, offering genuine support and compassion, but not at the expense of our own mental and emotional health. By understanding the different types of energy vampires, recognizing the signs of energy-draining interactions, and implementing strategies to manage these relationships, we can create a healthier balance in our social lives. This allows us to have more energy for positive relationships and pursuits, enhancing our overall quality of life and our capacity for genuine kindness and compassion. Remember, it's not selfish to protect your emotional energy. It's necessary. By doing so, you ensure that you have the resources to be truly present and supportive in your relationships, to pursue your own goals and passions, and to contribute positively to the world around you. In the end, learning to manage energy vampires isn't just about self-preservation. It's about becoming the best, most authentically kind version of yourself. Chapter 4. self-compassion, the foundation of genuine kindness. In our journey to master the art of selective kindness, we've explored the importance of understanding our emotional bandwidth and setting healthy boundaries. We've learned to identify energy vampires and develop strategies to protect ourselves from emotional drainage. Now, we turn our attention to a crucial element that underpins all these efforts: self-compassion. Self-compassion is often misunderstood. Many confuse it with self-indulgence or selfishness. Others see it as a form of self-pity. In reality, self-compassion is about treating ourselves with the same kindness, concern, and support we'd offer to a good friend. It's about recognizing our own humanity, with all its flaws and imperfections, and responding to our struggles with warmth and understanding rather than harsh judgment. Dr. Kristen Neff, a pioneer in the study of self-compassion, identifies 3 core components. 1. Self-kindness versus self-judgment, being gentle and understanding with ourselves rather than harshly critical. 2. Common humanity versus isolation, recognizing that suffering and personal inadequacy is part of the shared human experience. 3. Mindfulness versus over-identification, observing our negative thoughts and emotions with openness and clarity, without suppressing or exaggerating them. Why is self-compassion so important in the context of selective kindness? Because it forms the foundation from which genuine kindness towards others can grow. When we're harsh with ourselves, we often project that harshness onto others. When we're depleted and resentful from lack of self-care, we have little genuine kindness to offer. Self-compassion replenishes our emotional resources, allowing us to be truly present and supportive for others. Let's explore some practical ways to cultivate self-compassion. 1. Treat yourself as you would a friend. Imagine a close friend comes to you, upset about a mistake they've made. How would you respond? Now, think about how you talk to yourself when you make a mistake. Is there a difference? Example: Sarah, a marketing executive, made a significant error in a presentation to a client. Her immediate internal dialogue was harsh. "You're so stupid. How could you make such a basic mistake? You'll probably lose the client and get fired." When Sarah realized how unkind she was being to herself, she paused and imagined what she'd say to a friend in the same situation. She then tried again. "This is a tough situation, but mistakes happen to everyone. Let's think about how we can address this and learn from it." Practice. Next time you're facing a difficult situation, pause and ask yourself, what would I say to a friend in this situation? Then, try to offer yourself the same kindness. 2. Recognize common humanity. When we're struggling, it's easy to feel isolated, as if we're the only ones experiencing difficulties. Recognizing our common humanity helps us feel connected and less alone. Example: Tom, a recent college graduate, was feeling discouraged after being rejected from several job applications. He felt like a failure, convinced that everyone else his age was succeeding while he was falling behind. In a moment of clarity, Tom realized that many of his classmates were likely facing similar challenges. He reached out to a few friends and found that indeed, many were also struggling with the job search. This realization didn't solve his problem, but it helped him feel less alone and more compassionate towards himself. Practice. When you're facing a challenge, remind yourself, this is a moment of suffering. Suffering is a part of life. Many others have felt this way. 3. Mindful awareness. Mindfulness involves observing our thoughts and feelings without judgment, neither suppressing nor exaggerating them. This awareness helps us respond to our struggles with balance and clarity. Example: Lisa, a yoga instructor, found herself constantly comparing her body to those of other instructors and students. These comparisons left her feeling inadequate and anxious. She began a practice of mindful body scan meditations. During these sessions, she would observe the sensations in her body without judgment. Over time, she became more aware of her negative self-talk and was able to acknowledge these thoughts without getting caught up in them. Practice. Take a few minutes each day to sit quietly and observe your thoughts and feelings. Notice them without trying to change or judge them. 4. Use supportive touch. Physical touch releases oxytocin, providing a sense of care and support. We can provide this to ourselves through supportive self-touch. Example: David, an IT professional, often felt stressed and overwhelmed at work. He started a practice of placing his hand on his heart when he felt anxiety rising. This simple gesture helped him feel calmer and more self-supportive. Practice: when you're feeling stressed or upset, try placing your hand on your heart, giving yourself a hug, or gently stroking your arm. Notice how this physical gesture of self-support makes you feel. 5. Develop a self-compassion phrase. Having a go-to phrase can be a powerful tool for moments when self-compassion is needed but difficult to access. Example: Emma, a single mother, often felt overwhelmed trying to balance work and parenting. She developed a self-compassion phrase: "This is hard, but I'm doing my best. I am worthy of love and compassion." She would repeat this to herself during particularly challenging moments. Practice: develop your own self-compassion phrase. It might be something like, "May I be kind to myself in this moment," or "I'm doing the best I can with what I have." 6. Write a self-compassionate letter. Writing can be a powerful way to cultivate self-compassion, allowing us to express our feelings and offer ourselves support. Example: Michael, a writer struggling with writer's block, was becoming increasingly self-critical. His therapist suggested he write a letter to himself from the perspective of a compassionate friend. In the letter, Michael acknowledged his struggles, reminded himself of past successes, and offered words of encouragement. Reading this letter when he felt discouraged helped shift his perspective and renew his motivation. Practice: write a letter to yourself from the perspective of a compassionate friend or loved one. What would they say to support and encourage you? 7. Practice forgiveness. Holding on to self-blame and regret drains our emotional energy. Learning to forgive ourselves is a crucial aspect of self-compassion. Example: Olivia carried guilt for years over ending a friendship abruptly in college. Through therapy, she learned to view the situation with more compassion, recognizing that she had done the best she could with the emotional tools she had at the time. She wrote a letter of forgiveness to her younger self, which helped her release much of the guilt she had been carrying. Practice: identify something you're still blaming yourself for. Can you find a way to view the situation with more understanding and forgiveness? 8. Celebrate your successes. Self-compassion isn't just about comforting ourselves in difficult times. It's also about acknowledging and celebrating our successes, no matter how small. Example: James, a recovering addict, learned to celebrate each day of sobriety as a success. Rather than focusing solely on long-term goals, he practiced self-compassion by acknowledging the effort and strength it took to make it through each day. Practice: at the end of each day, identify at least one thing you did well or one small victory you achieved. Take a moment to genuinely acknowledge and appreciate your effort. 9. Set compassionate goals. Often, our goals are driven by self-criticism or a desire to prove our worth. Setting compassionate goals involves focusing on what truly matters to us and what brings us joy and fulfillment. Example: Rachel, an ambitious lawyer, was always pushing herself to work longer hours and take on more cases. She realized this drive was fueled by a fear of not being good enough. With the help of a coach, she redefined her goals, focusing on achieving a healthy work-life balance and taking on cases that aligned with her values, rather than just pursuing status or financial rewards. Practice: review your current goals. Are they driven by self-criticism or external pressures? How can you reframe them to be more self-compassionate and aligned with your true values? 10. Create a self-compassion ritual. Having a regular practice can help make self-compassion a habit. Example: Sophia, a high school teacher, created a morning self-compassion ritual. Each day before leaving for work, she would take 5 minutes to sit quietly, place a hand on her heart, and repeat her self-compassion phrase. This simple practice helped her start each day with a sense of self-support and kindness. Practice: design a simple self-compassion ritual that you can practice daily. It might involve meditation, journaling, or simply taking a few mindful breaths. Overcoming obstacles to self-compassion. While the benefits of self-compassion are clear, many people find it challenging to practice. Let's address some common obstacles. 1. Self-compassion is selfish. This belief often stems from confusing self-compassion with self-indulgence. In reality, self-compassion gives us the emotional resources to be more present and supportive for others. Example: Mark, a devoted father, believed that focusing on his own needs was selfish. He pushed himself to exhaustion trying to meet everyone else's needs. When he learned about self-compassion, he realized that taking care of himself actually made him a more patient, present father. 2. Self-compassion will make me weak. Some fear that being kind to themselves will undermine their motivation or make them complacent. Example: Lisa, a competitive athlete, believed that her harsh self-criticism was necessary for her success. When introduced to self-compassion practices, she initially resisted, fearing they would make her soft. Over time, she discovered that self-compassion actually enhanced her resilience and ability to learn from setbacks, improving her overall performance. 3. I don't deserve compassion. Deep-seated beliefs about our own unworthiness can be a significant barrier to self-compassion. Example: John, who grew up in a highly critical household, struggled to believe he deserved kindness, even from himself. Through therapy and consistent self-compassion practice, he gradually learned to challenge this belief and cultivate a more nurturing relationship with himself. 4. It feels uncomfortable or unnatural. For those not used to self-compassion, it can feel awkward or forced at first. Example: When Emily first tried self-compassion exercises, she felt silly and uncomfortable. She persisted, treating it like learning a new skill. Over time, it began to feel more natural and genuine. Integrating self-compassion into daily life. The goal is not to reserve self-compassion for major crises, but to weave it into the fabric of our daily lives. Here are some ways to do this. 1. Morning check-in. Start your day with a brief self-compassion practice. This could be as simple as placing a hand on your heart and wishing yourself well for the day ahead. 2. Compassionate breathing. Throughout the day, take brief pauses to breathe deeply and offer yourself words of kindness. 3. Mindful self-compassion breaks. When facing a challenging situation, take a moment to acknowledge your struggle, remember your common humanity, and offer yourself support. 4. Evening reflection. End your day by acknowledging both your successes and struggles with compassion. 5. Compassionate self-talk. Pay attention to your inner dialogue and practice replacing harsh self-criticism with more supportive, encouraging self-talk. Remember, cultivating self-compassion is a journey, not a destination. It's a practice that grows stronger over time. As you develop greater self-compassion, you'll likely find that you have more emotional resources available, not just for yourself, but for others as well. This forms the foundation for practicing selective kindness, allowing you to be genuinely supportive and caring towards others, while also honoring your own needs and limitations. In the next chapter, we'll explore how this foundation of self-compassion can help us in redefining relationships, quality over quantity, where we'll learn to cultivate deeper, more meaningful connections while setting healthy boundaries. Chapter 5. Redefining relationships, quality over quantity. In our journey towards mastering the art of selective kindness, we've explored the importance of understanding our emotional bandwidth, setting boundaries, identifying energy vampires, and cultivating self-compassion. Now, we turn our attention to a critical aspect of our social lives: our relationships. In today's hyper-connected world, it's easy to fall into the trap of equating the number of our connections with the quality of our social life. We collect friends on social media, network extensively for professional reasons, and often find ourselves spread thin trying to maintain a vast array of relationships. But is this approach truly serving us? More importantly, is it allowing us to practice genuine kindness and foster meaningful connections? This chapter challenges the notion that more relationships equate to a richer social life. Instead, we'll explore the value of focusing on quality over quantity in our relationships and how this approach aligns with the practice of selective kindness. The myth of quantity. Let's start by examining the common belief that having more relationships is inherently better. Example: Sarah, a marketing executive, prided herself on her extensive network. She had over 1,000 connections on LinkedIn, 500 plus friends on Facebook, and was constantly attending networking events to meet new people. Despite this, Sarah often felt lonely and disconnected. She realized that while she knew many people, she had few deep, meaningful relationships. The truth is, humans have a limited capacity for close relationships. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar suggests that we can maintain stable social relationships with about 150 people, with only about 5 of these being close, supportive relationships. The quality approach. Focusing on quality in relationships means prioritizing depth over breadth. It involves nurturing connections that are mutually supportive, growth-promoting, and aligned with our values. Example: after realizing the hollowness of his vast but shallow network, Tom, a software engineer, decided to focus on deepening his relationships with a smaller group of people. He started by identifying 5 people he felt truly connected with and made a conscious effort to invest more time and energy into these relationships. Over time, he found that these deeper connections provided him with more support, joy, and a sense of belonging than his previous approach of constantly expanding his network. Benefits of prioritizing quality in relationships. 1. Deeper emotional support. Close relationships provide a level of emotional support that casual acquaintances cannot. 2. Improved well-being. Research shows that having a few close relationships is more strongly linked to happiness and well-being than having many casual connections. 3. Personal growth. Deep relationships challenge us, reflect our blind spots, and encourage our growth. 4. More authentic interactions. With close friends, we can be our true selves without fear of judgment. 5. Efficient use of emotional energy. By focusing on fewer, higher-quality relationships, we can use our emotional resources more efficiently. Strategies for cultivating quality relationships. 1. Identify your core circle. Start by identifying the relationships that are most important to you. These are the people who support you, challenge you to grow, and with whom you feel a genuine connection. Example: Lisa, a teacher, felt overwhelmed trying to keep up with all her colleagues and acquaintances. She decided to identify her core circle, the people she most wanted to invest in. She realized this included her sister, her 2 closest friends from college, and a mentor from her early teaching days. By focusing on these relationships, Lisa found she had more energy and felt more fulfilled in her social life. 2. Invest time and energy. Quality relationships require investment. Make a conscious effort to spend time with your core people, both in person and through meaningful communication. Example: despite living in different cities, best friends Alex and Michael committed to a weekly video call. They used this time not just to catch up on surface-level events, but to discuss their challenges, dreams, and personal growth. This regular, intentional connection helped maintain the depth of their friendship despite the physical distance. 3. Practice active listening. True connection requires not just talking, but really listening. Practice giving your full attention when interacting with others. Example: David noticed that he often half-listened to his wife while scrolling through his phone. He made a conscious decision to put away distractions and practice active listening during their conversations. This simple change led to deeper discussions and a stronger sense of connection in their relationship. 4. Be vulnerable. Sharing our true thoughts and feelings, including our struggles and fears, can deepen our connections. Example: Emma had always presented a perfect image to her friends. After a difficult breakup, she decided to open up to her close friend Sarah about her pain and insecurities. This vulnerability led to a deeper bond between them, with Sarah also feeling more comfortable sharing her own struggles. 5. Show appreciation. Regularly expressing gratitude for the people in your life can strengthen your bonds. Example: John started a practice of sending a thoughtful message to one person in his core circle each week, expressing specific things he appreciated about them. This not only strengthened his relationships, but also made him more aware of the positive aspects of these connections. 6. Set and respect boundaries. Healthy boundaries are crucial for maintaining quality relationships. Be clear about your needs and respect others' boundaries as well. Example: best friends Olivia and Sophia had a habit of calling each other anytime, day or night. While this showed their closeness, It sometimes led to stress and resentment. They agreed to set boundaries around late-night calls unless it was an emergency, which actually improved their relationship by ensuring they both felt their needs were respected. 7. Engage in shared activities. Participating in activities together can create shared experiences and deepen bonds. Example: brothers Mark and Tom had drifted apart over the years. They decided to start a monthly hiking tradition, exploring new trails together. This shared activity not only gave them quality time together but also created new memories and inside jokes that strengthened their bond. 8. Practice forgiveness. No relationship is perfect. Being able to forgive, when appropriate, is crucial for maintaining long-term, quality relationships. Example: when Rachel forgot her best friend Amy's birthday, Amy was deeply hurt. Instead of letting this incident damage their friendship, Amy chose to express her hurt feelings and then forgive Rachel. This experience actually deepened their friendship as they worked through the conflict together. 9. Regularly check in. Make it a habit to regularly check in with the important people in your life, not just during crises or celebrations. Example: Carlos started a practice of sending a quick thinking of you text to a different friend or family member each day. This simple habit helped him stay connected and showed his loved ones that he cared, even during busy times. 10. Quality over quantity in communication. It's not about constant communication, but about meaningful exchanges when you do connect. Example: instead of engaging in daily small talk, long-distance friends Yuki and Erica committed to writing each other in-depth emails once a month. These thoughtful exchanges allowed them to share more meaningfully about their lives and maintain a deep connection despite the distance and time difference. Navigating the transition. Shifting from a quantity-focused to a quality-focused approach in relationships can be challenging. Here are some common obstacles and how to overcome them. 1. Fear of missing out, FOMO. Example: Jennifer was used to saying yes to every social invitation, fearing she might miss out on something important. This left her constantly exhausted and unable to fully engage in any of her relationships. She learned to remind herself that by saying no to some invitations, she was saying yes to deeper connections with her core group. Strategy: remind yourself that depth of experience often trumps breadth. By focusing on fewer, more meaningful interactions, you're likely to have richer experiences overall. 2. Guilt about neglecting others. Example: when Miguel started focusing on his core relationships, he felt guilty about spending less time with his wider circle of acquaintances. He addressed this by being honest with people about his desire to deepen certain relationships, while still maintaining friendly but more limited contact with others. Strategy: remember that it's okay to have different levels of relationships. You can still be kind and friendly to a wider circle while investing more deeply in your core relationships. 3. Resistance from others. Example: when Samantha started setting boundaries and being more selective about her time, some of her more casual friends pushed back, accusing her of being antisocial. She stood firm in her decision, explaining her need for more balance in her social life. Strategy: be prepared for some pushback and have clear, kind responses ready. Remember that your true friends will understand and respect your needs. 4. Habit and inertia. Example: despite his best intentions, Chris found himself falling back into old patterns of surface-level interactions with a wide group. He set reminders on his phone to prompt him to engage in more meaningful ways with his core group. Strategy: be patient with yourself and recognize that changing relationship patterns takes time. Set up systems to support your new approach, like scheduling regular check-ins with your core people. 5. Social media pressure. Example: Lila felt pressure to maintain her large social media following and engage constantly online. She decided to limit her social media use and focus on using it to enhance her core relationships rather than expand her network endlessly. Strategy: be intentional about your social media use. Consider using it as a tool to deepen existing relationships rather than constantly expanding your network. Balancing depth and breadth. While the focus of this chapter is on prioritizing quality in relationships, it's important to note that some breadth in our social connections can also be valuable. The key is finding a balance that works for you. Example: After focusing intensely on his core relationships for several months, Alex realized he missed the variety and potential for new perspectives that came from a wider social circle. He decided to maintain his investment in his close relationships while also allowing space for new connections through a monthly social group he joined. Remember, the goal of selective kindness is not to isolate yourself or to never form new connections. Rather, it's about being intentional with your emotional energy and investing it where it matters most to you. Conclusion: redefining our approach to relationships is a crucial step in mastering the art of selective kindness. By focusing on quality over quantity, we can create deeper, more meaningful connections that truly enrich our lives. This approach allows us to be more genuinely present and kind in our core relationships, while also maintaining healthy boundaries that protect our emotional well-being. As you move forward, consider regularly reassessing your relationships. Are they adding value to your life? Are you able to be your authentic self? Are they reciprocal? By continually refining your social circle and deepening your core relationships, you create a strong foundation for practicing selective kindness in all areas of your life. In our next chapter, we'll explore the courage to confront, addressing issues head-on, where we'll learn how direct, compassionate communication can further enhance our relationships and overall well-being. Chapter 6: The Courage to Confront, Addressing Issues Head-On. In our journey towards mastering selective kindness, we've explored the importance of understanding our emotional bandwidth, setting boundaries, identifying energy vampires, cultivating self-compassion, and focusing on quality relationships. Now, we turn our attention to a critical skill that ties all of these concepts together: the courage to confront. Confrontation often gets a bad rap. Many of us associate it with conflict, discomfort, or even aggression. However, when done with intention and compassion, confrontation can be a powerful tool for strengthening relationships, resolving issues, and promoting personal growth. In the context of selective kindness, the ability to address issues head-on is crucial for maintaining healthy boundaries and fostering authentic connections. Understanding compassionate confrontation. Compassionate confrontation is about addressing issues directly, honestly, and with empathy. It's not about attacking or blaming, but rather about expressing your needs, feelings, and concerns in a way that opens up dialogue and seeks mutual understanding. Example: Sarah, a team leader in a tech company, noticed that one of her team members, John, consistently missed deadlines, affecting the entire team's performance. Instead of avoiding the issue or becoming passive-aggressive, Sarah decided to address it directly. She scheduled a private meeting with John, expressed her concerns clearly, listened to his perspective, and worked with him to find solutions. This compassionate confrontation not only improved John's performance, but also strengthened their working relationship. Key elements of compassionate confrontation. 1. Timeliness. Address issues promptly before they escalate. 2. Privacy. Choose an appropriate time and place for the conversation. 3. I statements. Focus on expressing your own feelings and observations rather than making accusations. 4. Active listening. Give the other person a chance to share their perspective. 5. Solution-oriented. Focus on finding constructive solutions rather than dwelling on blame. 6. Empathy. Try to understand the other person's point of view, even if you disagree. The benefits of addressing issues head-on. 1. Clearer communication. Confronting issues directly reduces misunderstandings and assumptions. 2. Stronger relationships. Honest, respectful confrontation can deepen trust and intimacy in relationships. 3. Personal growth. Confronting issues often leads to self-reflection and personal development. 4. Reduce stress. Addressing problems rather than avoiding them can alleviate long-term stress and anxiety. 5. Improved problem-solving. Direct confrontation often leads to more effective solutions. Strategies for compassionate confrontation. 1. Prepare yourself. Before confronting an issue, take time to clarify your thoughts and feelings. What exactly is bothering you? Why is it important? What outcome are you hoping for? Example: Maria was frustrated with her roommate, Lisa, who often left dirty dishes in the sink. Before confronting Lisa, Maria took some time to reflect. She realized that beyond the dishes themselves, she was feeling disrespected and as if her needs weren't being considered. This clarity helped her approach the conversation more effectively. 2. Choose the right time and place. Timing and setting can greatly impact the success of a confrontation. Choose a time when both parties are calm and a place that's private and neutral. Example, Tom wanted to discuss some issues in his relationship with his girlfriend, Anna. Instead of bringing it up during a stressful workweek, he suggested they go for a peaceful walk in the park over the weekend, providing a relaxed environment for their discussion. 3. Use I statements. Frame your concerns in terms of your own feelings and experiences rather than making accusations. Example, instead of saying, "You never help with housework," try, "I feel overwhelmed and unappreciated when I'm doing most of the housework alone." 4. Be specific. Vague complaints are hard to address. Provide specific examples of the behavior or situation you want to discuss. Example, rather than saying, "You're always late," Jane told her friend, "Last week, you were 30 minutes late to our dinner plans, and yesterday, you showed up 45 minutes late to the movie. This made me feel like my time wasn't valued." 5. Listen actively. After expressing your concerns, give the other person a chance to respond. Listen without interrupting and try to understand their perspective. Example, when Mark confronted his colleague about taking credit for his ideas, he made sure to listen carefully to her explanation. He discovered that there had been a misunderstanding in communication, which they were then able to clear up. 6. Focus on solutions. Once both parties have expressed their views, shift the conversation towards finding solutions. Example, after discussing their issues with division of household chores, Sam and Alex brainstormed solutions together. They decided to create a chore chart and set reminders on their phones to ensure a fair distribution of tasks. 7. Express appreciation. Acknowledge the other person's willingness to engage in the confrontation and any positive steps they agree to take. Example, at the end of their discussion about punctuality, Jane thanked her friend for listening and expressed appreciation for her commitment to being more mindful of time. 8. Follow-up. After the confrontation, check in to see how the agreed-upon solutions are working. Example, a week after their discussion about workplace communication, Mark scheduled a brief meeting with his colleague to ensure their new approach was working well for both of them. Overcoming fears of confrontation. Many people avoid confrontation due to various fears. Let's address some common ones. 1. Fear of conflict. Example, Emily always avoided confronting her sister about borrowing her clothes without asking, fearing it would lead to a big fight. When she finally addressed it calmly and directly, she was surprised to find her sister was receptive and apologetic. Strategy. Remember that addressing issues early often prevents larger conflicts down the line. Practice calm, assertive communication to reduce the likelihood of escalation. 2. Fear of hurting others' feelings. Example, David hesitated to tell his friend that his constant negative comments were draining. When he finally expressed his feelings compassionately, his friend was grateful for the honesty and worked on being more positive. Strategy. Realize that addressing issues kindly is often less hurtful in the long run than letting resentment build up. 3. Fear of rejection. Example, Lisa was afraid to confront her boyfriend about feeling neglected, fearing he might leave her. When she finally expressed her feelings, it led to a deeper conversation about their needs and strengthened their relationship. Strategy. Remember that healthy relationships can withstand honest communication. If expressing your needs leads to rejection, it may indicate deeper issues in the relationship. 4. Fear of being wrong. Example, John hesitated to confront his coworker about a mistake, fearing he might have misunderstood the situation. He decided to approach it as a conversation to clarify rather than an accusation, which led to a productive discussion. Strategy. Approach confrontations with an open mind. Be willing to listen and adjust your perspective if needed. Real-life scenarios of compassionate confrontation. 1. Workplace scenario. Situation. Alex, a project manager, noticed that his team member, Sarah, was consistently submitting work late, affecting the entire project timeline. Compassionate confrontation approach. Alex scheduled a private meeting with Sarah. He started by expressing appreciation for Sarah's contributions to the team. Using I statements, he explained how the late submissions were impacting the project and the team. He asked Sarah if there were any challenges she was facing that were contributing to the delays. Sarah revealed she was struggling with some personal issues that were affecting her work. Together, they brainstormed solutions, including adjusting her workload temporarily and setting up a check-in system. Alex offered support and resources to help Sarah manage her workload more effectively. Outcome: Sarah felt supported rather than attacked. She appreciated Alex's approach and worked hard to improve her timeliness. The team's overall performance improved, and Alex and Sarah developed a stronger working relationship. 2. Family scenario. Situation: Maria was frustrated with her teenage son, Jake, who was spending excessive time gaming and neglecting his schoolwork. Compassionate confrontation approach. Maria chose a calm moment when Jake wasn't gaming to have the conversation. She expressed her concerns using I statements. "I'm worried about how gaming might be affecting your grades and sleep." Maria asked Jake to share his perspective on his gaming habits and schoolwork. She listened actively as Jake expressed feelings stressed about school and using gaming as an escape. Together, they brainstormed ways to balance gaming with schoolwork and other activities. They agreed on specific gaming time limits and a homework schedule. Maria offered to check in regularly to see how the new system was working. Outcome: Jake felt heard and involved in the solution rather than simply being punished. He agreed to the new schedule, and over time, his grades improved while still enjoying gaming in moderation. 3. Friendship scenario. Situation: Liz was hurt and angry that her best friend, Megan, had shared a personal secret with others. Compassionate confrontation approach. Liz invited Megan for coffee to talk privately. She expressed her feelings using I statements. "I felt betrayed and hurt when I learned that my secret had been shared." Liz gave Megan a chance to explain her side of the story. Megan apologized sincerely, explaining she hadn't realized the information was meant to be kept secret. They discussed the importance of trust in their friendship and how to rebuild it. Together, they established clear guidelines about what information should be kept confidential. Outcome: While it took time to fully rebuild trust, this honest conversation allowed Liz and Megan to address the issue directly and strengthen their friendship in the long run. 4. Romantic relationship scenario. Situation: Tom felt that his partner, Emma, was spending too much time on social media, affecting their quality time together. Compassionate confrontation approach. Tom chose a relaxed evening to bring up the topic. He started by affirming his love and commitment to their relationship. Using I statements, Tom expressed how he was feeling. "I miss our uninterrupted time together and sometimes feel less important than your phone." He asked Emma for her perspective on their phone use and quality time. Emma shared that she hadn't realized how her social media use was affecting Tom and admitted to using it as a stress relief. They brainstormed ideas for quality time together and agreed on phone-free periods. Both committed to being more mindful of their phone use and prioritizing their connection. Outcome: This conversation led to increased awareness for both Tom and Emma. They implemented their agreed strategies, leading to more quality time together and improved communication in their relationship. Conclusion: The courage to confront is a vital skill in the practice of selective kindness. By addressing issues head-on with compassion and clarity, we can strengthen our relationships, maintain healthy boundaries, and foster personal growth. Remember, confrontation doesn't have to be aggressive or unkind. When done with empathy and a focus on solutions, it can be one of the kindest things we do for ourselves and others. As you move forward, challenge yourself to address issues promptly and directly. Start with smaller confrontations to build your confidence. With practice, you'll find that your relationships become more authentic, your communication clearer, and your ability to navigate complex social situations greatly improved. In our next chapter, we'll explore prioritizing your well-being without guilt, where we'll delve deeper into the importance of self-care and the practice of selective kindness. Chapter 7: Prioritizing your well-being without guilt. As we continue our journey in mastering the art of selective kindness, we arrive at a crucial juncture, learning to prioritize our own well-being without feeling guilty. This chapter is pivotal because it addresses one of the most common obstacles people face when trying to practice selective kindness, the guilt that often accompanies putting oneself first. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that prioritizing our own needs is selfish or unkind. We've internalized the idea that true kindness means always putting others first, often at the expense of our own well-being. However, this belief is not only misguided but can also be harmful both to ourselves and to our ability to be genuinely kind to others. Understanding the importance of self-care. Self-care isn't selfish. It's necessary. Just as flight attendants instruct passengers to put on their own oxygen masks before helping others, we need to take care of ourselves to be in a position to help and be kind to others effectively. Example, Sarah, a dedicated nurse, prided herself on always being available for extra shifts and helping her colleagues. She rarely took time off and often skipped meals during her long shifts. Over time, she became exhausted, irritable, and prone to making mistakes. It wasn't until she nearly administered the wrong medication due to fatigue that Sarah realized her lack of self-care was not only harming her, but potentially putting her patients at risk. Key aspects of well-being to prioritize. 1. Physical health, regular exercise, proper nutrition, adequate sleep. 2. Mental health, stress management, mindfulness practices, seeking therapy when needed. 3. Emotional health, acknowledging and processing emotions, maintaining healthy relationships. 4. Spiritual health, connecting with your values and beliefs, finding meaning and purpose. 5. Professional health, setting boundaries at work, pursuing growth opportunities, maintaining work-life balance. Recognizing signs that you're neglecting your well-being. 1. Constant fatigue or exhaustion. 2. Irritability or mood swings. 3. Difficulty concentrating or making decisions. 4. Physical symptoms like headaches or muscle tension. 5. Feeling overwhelmed or burned out. 6. Neglecting personal hobbies or interests. 7. Strained relationships due to lack of time or energy. Strategies for prioritizing your well-being without guilt. 1. Reframe your thinking. Challenge the belief that self-care is selfish. Recognize that taking care of yourself enables you to be more present and effective in your relationships and responsibilities. Example, Tom, a father of 2 young children, felt guilty whenever he took time for himself. He started to reframe his thinking by reminding himself that by taking care of his own needs, he was modeling healthy behavior for his children and ensuring he had the energy to be a more patient, engaged parent. 2. Set clear boundaries. Learn to say no to requests or obligations that overextend you. Remember, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, often your own well-being. Example, Lisa, a freelance graphic designer, often found herself working late into the night to accommodate last-minute client requests. She decided to set clear working hours and communicate them to her clients. While she initially feared losing business, she found that most clients respected her boundaries and her work quality improved due to better rest. 3. Schedule self-care. Don't wait until you have free time for self-care. Actively schedule it into your day or week. Example, Marcus, a busy executive, started blocking out 30 minutes each day for a walk or meditation. He treated this time as non-negotiable, just like any other important meeting on his calendar. 4. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness can help you become more aware of your needs and emotions, making it easier to prioritize your well-being. Example, Emily started a daily 10-minute mindfulness practice. Over time, she became more attuned to her body's signals of stress or fatigue, allowing her to address these needs before reaching burnout. 5. Cultivate supportive relationships. Surround yourself with people who understand and encourage your need for self-care. Example, when Jessica started prioritizing her health by going to the gym regularly, some friends complained about her having less time for social activities. She found greater support in a new running group that shared her values around health and well-being. 6. Learn to delegate. You don't have to do everything yourself. Delegating tasks can free up time and energy for self-care. Example, Alex, a small business owner, was trying to handle every aspect of his company. He learned to delegate certain tasks to his employees, which not only gave him more time for self-care but also empowered his team and improved overall productivity. 7. Celebrate small wins. Acknowledge and celebrate the steps you take to prioritize your well-being, no matter how small. Example: Laura started keeping a self-care journal where she noted one thing she did each day to take care of herself. This practice helped her recognize her efforts and reinforce the importance of self-care. 8. Seek professional help when needed. Don't hesitate to seek help from a therapist or a counselor if you're struggling with guilt or finding it difficult to prioritize your well-being. Example: despite his best efforts, Michael couldn't shake the guilt he felt when taking time for himself. He decided to see a therapist who helped him unpack the root causes of his guilt and develop healthier thought patterns. Overcoming common obstacles. 1. The selfishness myth. Many people struggle with the belief that prioritizing their own needs is selfish. Example: Maria, a devoted mother, felt guilty every time she wanted to do something for herself. Through therapy and self-reflection, she came to understand that taking care of her own needs made her a more patient, energetic mother. She started viewing self-care as an essential part of good parenting rather than a selfish indulgence. Strategy: challenge this belief by reminding yourself that self-care is necessary for your ability to care for others. Think of it as refilling your own cup so you have something to pour out for others. 2. Time constraints. Many people feel they simply don't have time for self-care. Example: James, a law student, felt he couldn't afford to take time away from his studies for self-care. He learned to integrate small self-care practices into his day, like taking short meditation breaks between study sessions and ensuring he got enough sleep. His concentration and retention actually improved as a result. Strategy: start small. Even 5 minutes of self-care can make a difference. Look for ways to integrate self-care into your existing routine. 3. Perfectionism. Some people feel that if they can't do self-care perfectly, it's not worth doing at all. Example: Sarah wanted to start a yoga practice, but felt overwhelmed by the idea of committing to hour-long sessions every day. She learned to appreciate that even 10 minutes of stretching a few times a week was beneficial, and built up from there. Strategy: remember that any self-care is better than no self-care. Start with what feels manageable and build from there. 4. Fear of letting others down. The fear of disappointing others can be a significant barrier to prioritizing your own well-being. Example: Tom always said yes to after-work drinks with colleagues, even when he was exhausted, for fear of letting the team down. He learned to be honest about his needs, saying things like, "I need to recharge tonight, but I'd love to join next time." He found his colleagues were understanding and respected him for setting boundaries. Strategy: remember that by taking care of yourself, you're ensuring you can show up as your best self for others in the long run. Real-life scenarios of prioritizing well-being without guilt. 1. The working parent. Situation: Jennifer, a single mother of 2, worked full-time as a marketing manager. She constantly felt pulled between work responsibilities, parenting duties, and her own needs. Approach to prioritizing well-being. Jennifer started by identifying her non-negotiables: 7 hours of sleep per night, 30 minutes of exercise 3 times a week, and 1 hour of me time each weekend. She communicated these needs to her boss and negotiated a more flexible work schedule. She involved her children in meal prep and household chores, teaching them responsibility while freeing up some of her time. Jennifer joined a support group for single parents, which helped her feel less alone and provided practical tips for balancing responsibilities. She learned to let go of perfectionism, accepting that a good enough approach in some areas allowed her to have better overall balance. Outcome: while it was challenging at first, Jennifer found that prioritizing her well-being made her more productive at work and more patient with her children. She felt less stressed and more fulfilled in all areas of her life. 2. The caregiver. Situation: David was the primary caregiver for his elderly father with Alzheimer's. He was devoted to his father's care, but was becoming increasingly exhausted and isolated. Approach to prioritizing well-being. David researched and connected with local respite care services, allowing him to take regular breaks. He joined an online support group for caregivers, which helped him feel less alone and provided a space to share his feelings. David made a commitment to take a 30-minute walk every day, using this time to clear his mind and get some exercise. He reached out to friends and family, asking for specific help like grocery shopping or sitting with his father for an hour. David started seeing a therapist to work through his feelings of guilt and learn coping strategies. Outcome: by prioritizing his own well-being, David was able to provide better care for his father. He felt less resentful and more capable of handling the challenges of caregiving. 3. The high-achieving student. Situation: Mia was a top student, involved in multiple extracurricular activities and always striving for perfection. She was heading towards burnout, and her mental health was suffering. Approach to prioritizing well-being. Mia started by assessing her commitments and deciding which were truly important to her. She stepped down from leadership roles in 2 clubs to free up time. She set a strict no studying after 10 p.m. rule to ensure she got enough sleep. Mia scheduled self-care blocks into her calendar, treating them as seriously as she would any class or meeting. She started practicing mindfulness meditation to help manage stress and anxiety. Mia worked with a counselor to address her perfectionist tendencies and develop more balanced thinking. Outcome: while Mia's grades remained high, she felt much less stressed and more able to enjoy her academic experience. She developed better relationships with friends and felt more confident in her abilities. 4. The entrepreneur. Situation: Alex had recently started his own business and was working around the clock to make it successful. His health and relationships were suffering as a result. Approach to prioritizing well-being. Alex set clear work hours for himself and stuck to them, resisting the urge to work late into the night. He made a commitment to exercise for 30 minutes every morning before starting work. Alex scheduled regular date nights with his partner and committed to being fully present during this time. He joined a networking group for entrepreneurs, which provided both professional support and a sense of community. Alex learned to delegate tasks to his small team, trusting them with more responsibility. Outcome: by prioritizing his well-being, Alex found he was actually more productive during his work hours. His business continued to grow, and he felt more balanced and satisfied in both his professional and personal life. Conclusion: prioritizing your well-being without guilt is not just important, it's essential for practicing selective kindness effectively. Remember, self-care isn't selfish. It's the foundation that allows you to be truly present and kind in your interactions with others. As you move forward, challenge yourself to prioritize your well-being a little more each day. Start small if needed, but be consistent. Pay attention to how taking care of yourself impacts your mood, your energy levels, and your capacity to be kind to others. Remember, it's okay to put yourself first sometimes. In fact, it's necessary. By taking care of yourself, you're ensuring that you have the resources, emotional, mental, and physical, to be your best self and to offer genuine kindness to others. In our next chapter, we'll explore recognizing and responding to manipulation, where we'll learn how to maintain our practice of selective kindness even in challenging interpersonal situations. Chapter 8: Recognizing and Responding to Manipulation. As we continue our journey in mastering the art of selective kindness, we encounter a critical skill: the ability to recognize and respond to manipulation. Manipulation, in its various forms, can be a significant obstacle to practicing genuine kindness and maintaining healthy boundaries. In this chapter, we'll explore how to identify manipulative behaviors, understand their impact, and develop strategies to respond effectively while staying true to our practice of selective kindness. Understanding manipulation. Manipulation is a type of social influence that aims to change the behavior or perception of others through underhanded, deceptive, or abusive tactics. Manipulators often exploit kindness, using it as a lever to achieve their own goals at the expense of others. Common types of manipulation. 1. Guilt tripping. 2. Gaslighting. 3. Love bombing. 4. Silent treatment. 5. Playing the victim. 6. Emotional blackmail. 7. Passive-aggressive behavior. 8. Feigned helplessness. Recognizing manipulative behaviors. 1. Guilt tripping. Example: Sarah's friend Lisa often says things like, I guess you're too busy with your new friends to spend time with me, when Sarah can't meet up due to prior commitments.
Signs.
Using shame or obligation to influence behavior. Making exaggerated statements about being neglected or unloved. Constantly bringing up past favors or sacrifices. 2. Gaslighting. Example: Tom's partner frequently tells him he's too sensitive or imagining things when he brings up concerns about their relationship, making Tom doubt his own perceptions. Signs. Denying events or conversations that you clearly remember. Trivializing your emotions or concerns. Shifting blame onto you for their actions. 3. Love bombing. Example: in the early stages of dating, Alex showered Maria with excessive attention, gifts, and declarations of love, only to become controlling and demanding once she was emotionally invested. Signs. Overwhelming affection early in a relationship. Pushing for quick commitment. Using grand gestures to distract from problematic behavior. 4. Silent treatment. Example: whenever John disagrees with his wife Emma, she refuses to speak to him for days, causing him significant distress. Signs. Withdrawing communication as punishment. Refusing to engage in conflict resolution. Using silence to control the other person's behavior. 5. Playing the victim. Example: David's colleague always portrays herself as the victim of office politics, garnering sympathy and avoiding responsibility for her missed deadlines.
Signs.
Consistently blaming others for their problems. Exaggerating or fabricating hardships. Using their victim status to avoid accountability. 6. Emotional blackmail. Example: Jenny's mother threatens to get sick from worry if Jenny moves out of state for her dream job.
Signs.
Using fear, obligation, or guilt to control others. Making threats subtle or overt to get what they want. Punishing noncompliance with emotional outbursts. 7. Passive-aggressive behavior. Example: instead of directly expressing his annoyance, Mike's roommate leaves sticky notes all over the apartment complaining about minor issues. Signs. Indirect expression of hostility. Subtle sabotage or obstruction. Saying one thing but meaning another. 8. Feigned helplessness. Example: despite being capable, Paul's brother always claims he doesn't know how to do household chores, leaving Paul to do all the work. Signs. Consistently claiming inability to perform simple tasks. Learned helplessness to avoid responsibilities. Expecting others to take care of their needs. The impact of manipulation on selective kindness. Manipulation can significantly hinder our ability to practice selective kindness. 1. It can make us doubt our judgment about when and how to be kind. 2. It may lead us to override our boundaries out of guilt or fear. 3. It can drain our emotional resources, leaving us with less capacity for genuine kindness. 4. It might make us hesitant to trust or be kind to others in the future. Strategies for responding to manipulation. 1. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Learn to trust your gut feelings about interactions. Example: Emily felt uneasy about her new friend's constant demands for attention and favors, despite the friend's effusive compliments. By trusting this feeling, Emily was able to step back and evaluate the relationship more objectively. 2. Set and maintain clear boundaries. Clearly communicate your limits and stick to them, even in the face of manipulative tactics. Example: when his mother tried to guilt him into visiting every weekend, Mark calmly stated, "I love you, Mom, but I can only visit twice a month. I need time for my other responsibilities too." Despite his mother's protests, Mark stood firm. 3. Use I statements. Express your feelings and needs without attacking the other person. Example: instead of accusing her partner of manipulation, Sarah said, "I feel uncomfortable when you threaten to end our relationship every time we disagree. I need us to find healthier ways to resolve conflicts." 4. Practice emotional detachment. Learn to separate yourself emotionally from manipulative behaviors. This doesn't mean being cold, but rather not allowing their tactics to control your emotions. Example: when his colleague tried to guilt him into taking on extra work, Tom responded calmly, "I understand you're under pressure, but I'm not able to take on additional tasks right now." He acknowledged the colleague's stress without feeling responsible for solving it. 5. Seek support. Don't hesitate to reach out to trusted friends, family, or professionals for support and perspective. Example: feeling confused about her friend's behavior, Lisa discussed the situation with her therapist, who helped her recognize the manipulative patterns and develop strategies to address them. 6. Use tactical empathy. Acknowledge the manipulator's feelings without giving in to their demands. This can defuse tension while maintaining your boundaries. Example: when his brother tried to guilt him into lending money again, John replied, "I hear that you're in a tough financial situation, and that must be really stressful. However, I'm not in a position to lend money right now." 7. Delay your response. Take time to think before responding to manipulative behavior. This can help you avoid reacting emotionally and make a more considered response. Example: when her friend sent a guilt-tripping text about not being invited to a small gathering, Rachel waited a few hours before replying. This gave her time to calm down and craft a kind but firm response explaining the situation. 8. Be willing to walk away. In some cases, the healthiest response to persistent manipulation is to distance yourself from the relationship. Example: after months of trying to address her colleague's manipulative behavior, Emma decided to request a transfer to a different department, prioritizing her mental health and work satisfaction. Real-life scenarios and responses. 1. The guilt-tripping parent. Situation: Michael's father often guilt-trips him about not visiting enough, saying things like, "I guess I'm just not important to you anymore." Response: Michael acknowledges his father's feelings. "Dad, I hear that you're feeling neglected, and that must be hard." He clearly communicates his position, "I love you and value our relationship. At the same time, I have other commitments that I need to balance." Michael offers an alternative. "How about we set up a regular weekly call? That way, we can stay connected even when I can't visit in person." He maintains his boundary despite potential pushback. "I know this might not be exactly what you want, but it's what I can offer right now." Outcome: while his father was initially resistant, over time, he came to appreciate the regularity of their calls. Michael felt less guilty and more able to enjoy their interactions. 2. The gaslighting partner. Situation: Emma's partner frequently tells her she's too sensitive or imagining things when she brings up concerns about their relationship. Response: Emma starts keeping a journal to validate her own experiences and perceptions. She uses "I've" statements to express her feelings. "I feel confused and hurt when my concerns are dismissed." Emma suggests couples therapy. "I think we could benefit from having a neutral third party help us communicate better." She sets a boundary. "I need my feelings to be acknowledged, even if you see things differently." Outcome: through therapy, Emma's partner began to recognize his gaslighting behavior. Emma felt more confident in her perceptions, and the relationship improved as communication became more honest. 3. The emotionally blackmailing friend. Situation: whenever Sarah tries to spend time with other friends, her friend Lisa threatens to harm herself. Response: Sarah expresses concern for Lisa's well-being. "I'm worried about you and want to make sure you're safe." She encourages Lisa to seek professional help. "These feelings you're having are serious. Have you considered talking to a therapist?" Sarah maintains her boundary. "I care about you, but I can't be your only source of support. It's not healthy for either of us." She involves others if necessary. "If you're seriously considering harming yourself, I will need to call for help to ensure your safety." Outcome: Lisa initially reacted negatively, but Sarah's firm and caring approach eventually led Lisa to seek professional help. Their friendship became healthier as Lisa developed better coping mechanisms. 4. The passive-aggressive colleague. Situation: instead of directly addressing issues, John's colleague, Mark, makes snide comments in meetings and subtly undermines John's work. Response: John addresses the behavior directly. "Mark, I've noticed some tension between us. Can we talk about it privately?" He uses specific examples. "In yesterday's meeting, you made a comment about my project being ambitious. Can you tell me more about your concerns?" John expresses his desired outcome. "I'd like us to be able to communicate more openly and directly." He suggests a solution. "If you have concerns about my work in the future, could we discuss them one-on-one first?" Outcome: Mark was taken aback by the direct approach, but appreciated the opportunity to air his concerns. Their working relationship improved as they established more open communication. 5. The manipulative ex. Situation. Despite being broken up for months, Alex's ex-partner frequently calls late at night, claiming to be in crisis and needing Alex's support. Response. Alex acknowledges the past relationship while asserting current boundaries. I care about your well-being, but I'm no longer in a position to be your primary support. He suggests alternative sources of support. Have you considered calling a helpline or reaching out to your therapist? Alex sets clear limits. I won't be answering late-night calls anymore. If you need to reach me, please do so during daytime hours. He remains firm in the face of pushback. I understand you're upset, but this boundary is necessary for my own well-being. Outcome. While initially resistant, Alex's ex eventually began to respect the new boundaries. Alex felt relief and was able to move forward with his life more easily. Conclusion. Recognizing and responding to manipulation is a crucial skill in the practice of selective kindness. It allows us to maintain our boundaries, protect our emotional well-being, and ensure that our kindness is genuine rather than coerced. Remember, being kind doesn't mean being a doormat. True kindness involves being authentic, maintaining healthy boundaries, and sometimes saying no to manipulative behavior. As you encounter manipulative situations, practice these strategies. 1. Trust your instincts. 2. Set and maintain clear boundaries. 3. Use I statements. 4. Practice emotional detachment. 5. Seek support when needed. 6. Use tactical empathy. 7. Delay your response when necessary. 8. Be willing to walk away if the situation doesn't improve. By honing your ability to recognize and respond to manipulation, you're not just protecting yourself, you're creating space for more genuine, healthy relationships where true kindness can flourish. In our next chapter, we'll explore the art of saying no gracefully, where we'll delve deeper into maintaining our boundaries while preserving relationships and practicing selective kindness. Chapter 9. The Art of Saying No Gracefully. In our journey of mastering selective kindness, we've explored various aspects of setting boundaries, prioritizing our well-being, and recognizing manipulation. Now, we turn our attention to a critical skill that ties all of these concepts together: the art of saying no gracefully. Many of us struggle with saying no. We fear disappointing others, damaging relationships, or missing out on opportunities. However, the ability to say no is crucial for maintaining healthy boundaries, managing our time and energy, and ultimately being able to say yes to the things that truly matter to us. Understanding the importance of saying no. Saying no isn't about being unkind or unhelpful. Rather, it's about being honest, respecting your own limits, and ensuring that when you do say yes, it comes from a place of genuine willingness rather than obligation. Example: Sarah, a marketing executive, initially said yes to every project that came her way. She worked long hours, neglected her personal life, and eventually burned out. When she learned to say no to projects that weren't aligned with her core responsibilities or career goals, she found she had more energy and performed better on the tasks she did take on. Key benefits of learning to say no. 1. Reduce stress and overwhelm. 2. Increase time for priorities. 3. Improved quality of work on chosen tasks. 4. Enhance self-respect and confidence. 5. More authentic relationships. 6. Greater ability to say yes to what truly matters. Common reasons we struggle to say no. 1. Fear of disappointing others. Example: Tom always said yes when his colleagues asked for help, even when he was swamped with his own work. He feared that saying no would make him seem unhelpful or damage his relationships with coworkers. 2. Guilt. Example: Lisa felt guilty saying no to her mother's frequent requests for babysitting, even though it interfered with her own family time and personal commitments. 3. Fear of missing out, FOMO. Example: Despite being exhausted, Alex always said yes to social invitations, fearing he might miss out on important experiences or connections. 4. Desire to be liked. Example: Emma struggled to say no to her friends' requests, worrying that declining would make them like her less or exclude her from future activities. 5. Difficulty assessing requests. Example: John had trouble gauging the importance of requests at work, so he said yes to everything to be on the safe side. Strategies for saying no gracefully. 1. Be clear and direct. Avoid ambiguous language that might give false hope or lead to misunderstandings. Example: instead of saying, "I'm not sure I can make it," which leaves the door open, try, "Thank you for the invitation, but I won't be able to attend." 2. Provide a brief explanation, optional. You don't always owe an explanation, but a brief one can soften the no. Example: I can't take on that project right now because I'm fully committed to meeting the deadline for Project X. 3. Offer an alternative, if appropriate. If you want to be helpful but can't fulfill the original request, consider suggesting an alternative. Example: I can't babysit this Saturday, but I'd be happy to watch the kids next weekend if that works for you. 4. Use I statements. Frame your refusal in terms of your own needs or situation rather than blaming external factors. Example: instead of, "That party won't be any fun," try, "I need some quiet time to recharge this weekend." 5. Express gratitude. Thank the person for thinking of you or for the opportunity. Example: thank you for considering me for this committee. I'm honored, but I'm not able to commit to it at this time. 6. Don't over-apologize. While it's fine to express regret, excessive apologies can undermine your position and may invite pushback. Example: instead of, "I'm so sorry, I feel terrible, but I just can't do it," try, "I'm sorry, but I'm not able to take that on right now." 7. Stand firm. If the person persists, restate your position calmly and firmly. Example: I understand this is important to you, but my decision remains the same. I'm not able to commit to this right now. 8. Practice self-compassion. Remember that it's okay to say no. Treat yourself with kindness as you navigate this skill. Example: after saying no to a friend's request, Sarah reminded herself it's okay to set boundaries. I'm taking care of myself, which allows me to be a better friend in the long run. Real-life scenarios and responses. 1. The overcommit volunteer. Situation: Maria, already volunteering at her children's school and local food bank, is asked to join the neighborhood watch committee. Graceful no. Maria, thank you for thinking of me for the neighborhood watch committee. I'm honored by the invitation. However, I'm already committed to 2 other volunteer roles, and I need to ensure I have enough time for my family and personal responsibilities. I won't be able to join the committee at this time, but I appreciate the important work you're doing for our community. Outcome: the organizer appreciated Maria's honest and kind response. Maria felt relieved and proud of maintaining her boundaries. 2. The work project overload. Situation: Alex's manager asks him to take on an additional project, even though Alex is already working at full capacity. Graceful no. Alex, I appreciate you considering me for this project, and it sounds interesting. However, I'm currently at full capacity with projects A and B. Taking on another project would compromise the quality of my work on these existing commitments. Would it be possible to revisit this once I've completed one of my current projects? Outcome: Alex's manager respected his honesty and commitment to quality. They agreed to reassess in a month when one of Alex's current projects would be wrapping up. 3. The persistent friend. Situation: Emma's friend keeps inviting her to late-night parties, even though Emma has expressed that she prefers quieter evenings. Graceful no. Emma, thanks for thinking of me, Sarah. I always appreciate your invitations. However, as I've mentioned before, late-night parties aren't really my scene. I value our friendship and would love to spend time together in a different way. How about we plan a lunch or afternoon coffee next week instead? Outcome: while initially disappointed, Sarah appreciated Emma's suggestion for an alternative hangout. Their friendship remained strong, with both respecting each other's preferences. 4. The family obligation. Situation: John's parents expect him to attend a family reunion, but it conflicts with an important work commitment. Graceful no. John, Mom, Dad, I know how important this reunion is to our family. I wish I could be there, but I have a crucial work presentation that I can't reschedule. I feel torn, but I need to honor my professional commitments. Could we plan a smaller family get-together soon so I can catch up with everyone? Outcome: While John's parents were disappointed, they appreciated his honest communication and effort to find an alternative way to connect with family. 5. The loan request. Situation. Lisa's friend asks to borrow a significant amount of money. Graceful no. Lisa, I'm sorry you're in a difficult financial situation. That must be really stressful. However, I'm not comfortable lending money as it can complicate friendships. Have you considered speaking with a financial advisor? They might be able to suggest some options I'm not aware of. Outcome. While the friend was initially upset, Lisa's suggestion of professional help was eventually appreciated. Their friendship remained intact, without the strain a loan might have caused. 6. The unwanted date. Situation. Tom is asked out by a coworker he's not interested in dating. Graceful no. Tom, I'm flattered that you'd like to go out, and I really value our professional relationship. However, I don't think it's a good idea for us to date. I hope we can continue to have a great working relationship. Outcome. While initially awkward, Tom's clear and kind response allowed both of them to move past the situation and maintain a professional rapport. 7. The time-consuming favor. Situation. Olivia's neighbor asks her to pet sit for 2 weeks while they're on vacation. Graceful no. Olivia, thank you for thinking of me for pet sitting. I love your dog, but unfortunately my schedule in the coming weeks is quite hectic and I wouldn't be able to give her the attention she deserves. Have you considered a professional pet sitting service? I'd be happy to recommend one I've heard good things about. Outcome. The neighbor appreciated Olivia's honesty and her suggestion of an alternative solution. 8. The pushy salesperson. Situation. Mark is pressured by a salesperson to buy a product he doesn't need or want. Graceful no. Mark, thank you for explaining the features of this product. I appreciate the time you've taken, but this isn't something I need or want to purchase at the moment. Please don't feel you need to spend any more time trying to convince me. My decision is final. Outcome. While the salesperson was disappointed, they respected Mark's firm but polite refusal and moved on to other potential customers. Handling pushback. Even with a graceful no, you may sometimes encounter pushback. Here are some strategies for dealing with persistent requests. 1. Broken record technique. Calmly repeat your refusal without becoming defensive or offering new excuses. Example. Pushy friend, but why can't you come? It'll be fun. As I said, I'm not able to attend. Thank you for understanding. Pushy friend, come on, just for a little while. I understand you want me there, but as I said, I'm not able to attend. 2. Reflect the feeling. Acknowledge the other person's feelings without changing your decision. Example, I can see this is really important to you and I appreciate that. However, my decision remains the same. 3. Buy time. If you feel pressured, it's okay to ask for time to think about it. Example, I need some time to consider this. Can I get back to you tomorrow? 4. Set a clear boundary. If someone repeatedly disrespects your no, you may need to set a firmer boundary. Example, I've already said no several times. I need you to respect my decision. If you continue to push, I'll have to end this conversation. Conclusion. Learning to say no gracefully is a vital skill in the practice of selective kindness. It allows us to maintain our boundaries, manage our energy, and ensure that our yes are meaningful and genuine. Remember, saying no to one thing allows you to say yes to something else, often something more aligned with your values and priorities. As you practice saying no, keep these key points in mind. 1. Be clear and direct in your refusal. 2. Offer a brief explanation if appropriate, but don't feel obligated to justify your decision. 3. Express gratitude for the offer or invitation. 4. Suggest an alternative if you want to be helpful, but can't fulfill the original request. 5. Stand firm in the face of pushback. 6. Practice self-compassion throughout the process. Remember, saying no isn't about being unkind. It's about being honest, respecting your own needs and limits, and ultimately being able to give more fully to the commitments you do make. By mastering the art of saying no gracefully, you're not just taking care of yourself, you're fostering more authentic relationships and creating space for more meaningful yes in your life. In our next chapter, we'll explore cultivating meaningful connections, where we'll delve into how selective kindness can help us build deeper, more fulfilling relationships. Chapter 10. Cultivating Meaningful Connections. As we near the conclusion of our journey in mastering selective kindness, we turn our attention to one of the most rewarding aspects of this practice: cultivating meaningful connections. In a world that often prioritizes quantity over quality in relationships, learning to foster deep, authentic connections is a vital skill. These connections not only enrich our lives but also provide a strong foundation for practicing selective kindness. Understanding meaningful connections. Meaningful connections are relationships characterized by mutual understanding, respect, and genuine care. They go beyond surface-level interactions and involve a deeper level of emotional intimacy and support. Key characteristics of meaningful connections. 1. Authenticity. 2. Mutual respect and trust. 3. Emotional support. 4. Shared values or interests. 5. Effective communication. 6. Willingness to be vulnerable. 7. Acceptance of each other's flaws. The importance of meaningful connections. Example: Sarah, a successful executive, had a wide network of professional contacts but often felt lonely and unfulfilled. When she began focusing on deepening a few key relationships, she found greater satisfaction and emotional support in her life. Benefits of cultivating meaningful connections. 1. Enhanced emotional well-being. 2. Increased resilience in face of challenges. 3. Greater sense of belonging and purpose. 4. Improved physical health. 5. Opportunities for personal growth. 6. More authentic expression of kindness. Strategies for cultivating meaningful connections. 1. Practice active listening. Truly listening to others without judgment or interruption is key to building deeper connections. Example: Tom realized he often half-listened to his wife while thinking about his own responses. He started practicing active listening, giving her his full attention and asking thoughtful questions. This simple change led to more meaningful conversations and a stronger bond. Technique: use the HEAR method. Halt. Stop what you're doing and give full attention. Engage. Show your listening through body language. Anticipate. Look forward to what the speaker will say. Replay. Reflect back what you've heard to ensure understanding. 2. Be vulnerable. Sharing your own thoughts, feelings, and experiences opens the door for deeper connections. Example: Emma always presented a perfect image to her friends. When she opened up about her struggles with anxiety, she was surprised by the support she received and the deeper connections that formed. Technique: start small by sharing a minor concern or insecurity. As trust builds, gradually open up about more significant experiences. 3. Show empathy. Trying to understand and share the feelings of others creates a strong foundation for meaningful connections. Example: when his friend lost his job, instead of offering immediate advice, Alex simply said, "That must be really tough. I'm here if you need to talk." This empathetic response made his friend feel truly understood and supported. Technique: practice perspective taking. Try to imagine yourself in the other person's situation before responding. 4. Invest time and effort. Meaningful connections require consistent nurturing. Example: despite busy schedules, best friends Maria and Sophia committed to a monthly friend date. These regular, focused interactions helped maintain and deepen their friendship over the years. Technique: schedule regular check-ins or activities with important people in your life. Treat these commitments as seriously as you would work obligations. 5. Practice forgiveness. No relationship is perfect. Learning to forgive, when appropriate, is crucial for maintaining long-term connections. Example: when John forgot his best friend's birthday, instead of holding a grudge, his friend expressed his hurt feelings and then chose to forgive. This experience actually strengthened their friendship. Technique: when hurt, express your feelings honestly, but non-judgmentally. Focus on understanding and moving forward rather than punishment. 6. Express gratitude. Regularly expressing appreciation deepens connections and fosters positive feelings. Example: Lisa started a practice of sending a weekly gratitude message to someone in her life. expressing specific things she appreciated about them. This not only strengthened her relationships, but also made her more aware of the positive aspects of these connections. Technique: set a regular reminder to express gratitude to someone in your life. Be specific about what you appreciate. 7. Engage in shared activities. Participating in activities together can create shared experiences and deepen bonds. Example: colleagues Mark and Aisha started a book club together. This shared interest gave them a chance to connect on a deeper level outside of work and led to a meaningful friendship. Technique: identify common interests and plan regular activities around them. Be open to trying new things suggested by the other person. 8. Respect boundaries. Healthy boundaries are crucial for maintaining meaningful connections. Example: best friends David and Michael had a habit of calling each other anytime, day or night. They agreed to set boundaries around late-night calls unless it was an emergency, which actually improved their relationship by ensuring they both felt their needs were respected. Technique: communicate your own boundaries clearly and respectfully. Ask about and honor the boundaries of others. 9. Be present. Giving your full attention in interactions, free from distractions, fosters deeper connections. Example: Rachel noticed she often checked her phone during conversations with friends. She started putting her phone away during social interactions, leading to more engaging and meaningful discussions. Technique: practice mindfulness in your interactions. If you catch your mind wandering, gently bring your attention back to the present moment and the person you're with. 10. Celebrate successes. Genuinely celebrating others' achievements strengthens bonds. Example: when his colleague got a promotion, instead of feeling envious, Carlos organized a small celebration. This generous act deepened their friendship and created a culture of mutual support in their workplace. Technique: make a point to acknowledge and celebrate others' successes, big and small. Show genuine enthusiasm for their achievements. Real-life scenarios of cultivating meaningful connections. 1. The introverted neighbor. Situation: Emily, an introvert, wanted to connect more deeply with her neighbor Sarah, but felt anxious about social interactions. Approach: Emily started small by simply waving and smiling when she saw Sarah. She then began to engage in brief conversations, asking about Sarah's garden. Discovering a shared interest in plants, Emily invited Sarah for tea and to exchange gardening tips. They started a small community garden project together, allowing their connection to grow naturally through a shared activity. Outcome: over time, Emily and Sarah developed a meaningful friendship. Emily's anxiety decreased as she realized authentic connections could develop slowly and naturally. 2. The long-distance friendship. Situation: best friends Alex and Michael struggled to maintain their close connection after Michael moved to another country. Approach: they committed to a weekly video call, prioritizing this time despite busy schedules. They started a virtual book club, just the two of them, to have meaningful topics to discuss. They used a shared online journal to update each other on daily life between calls. They planned an annual in-person meetup, alternating between their locations. Outcome: despite the distance, Alex and Michael maintained and even deepened their friendship. The intentional effort they put into staying connected paid off in a rich, supportive long-distance relationship. 3. The work-mentor relationship. Situation: junior employee Zoe wanted to develop a more meaningful connection with her mentor, Lisa. Approach: Zoe practiced active listening during their meetings, asking thoughtful follow-up questions. She showed vulnerability by openly discussing her career fears and challenges. Zoe expressed specific gratitude for Lisa's guidance and support. She suggested they attend a relevant industry conference together, allowing for shared experiences outside the office. Outcome: the mentor-mentee relationship evolved into a deep, mutually beneficial professional connection. Lisa felt more invested in Zoe's success, and Zoe gained invaluable insights both professionally and personally. 4. The rekindled family tie. Situation: brothers Mark and Tom had drifted apart over the years and wanted to reconnect. Approach: they agreed to a monthly phone call to check in, no matter how busy life got. They started a tradition of taking an annual brothers trip, even if just for a weekend. They made an effort to remember and acknowledge important dates in each other's lives. They practiced openness and vulnerability, discussing not just successes, but also challenges. Outcome. Over time, Mark and Tom rebuilt their bond. They became sources of support for each other, and their families grew closer as a result. 5. The diverse friendship group. Situation. A group of colleagues from diverse backgrounds wanted to build deeper connections beyond work. Approach. They started a monthly potluck dinner, with each person bringing a dish from their cultural background. They practiced active listening and asking respectful questions to learn about each other's experiences and perspectives. They celebrated various cultural holidays together, taking turns hosting and explaining traditions. They supported each other through challenges, offering empathy and understanding. Outcome. The group developed a deep, meaningful connection that transcended cultural differences. They became a strong support system for each other, both personally and professionally. Overcoming challenges in cultivating meaningful connections. 1. Fear of vulnerability. Challenge. Many people fear being vulnerable, worrying they'll be judged or rejected. Solution. Start small with minor disclosures. Remember that vulnerability often invites vulnerability from others, deepening the connection. 2. Lack of time. Challenge. Busy schedules can make it difficult to invest time in relationships. Solution. Prioritize relationships by scheduling regular check-ins or activities. Quality of time often matters more than quantity. 3. Digital distractions. Challenge. Constant connectivity can paradoxically lead to less meaningful interactions. Solution. Set boundaries around technology use. Create tech-free zones or times for focused interactions. 4. Diverse perspectives. Challenge. Differences in opinions or backgrounds can sometimes create barriers. Solution. Approach differences with curiosity rather than judgment. Focus on understanding rather than agreeing. 5. Past hurts. Challenge. Previous negative experiences can make people hesitant to form close connections. Solution. Acknowledge past hurts, but try not to project them onto new relationships. Consider professional help if past experiences are significantly impacting your ability to connect. Conclusion. Cultivating meaningful connections is both an art and a science. It requires intention, effort, and often a willingness to step out of our comfort zones. However, the rewards of deep, authentic relationships are immeasurable. These connections provide the fertile ground in which selective kindness can flourish. As you practice cultivating meaningful connections, remember: 1. Authenticity is key. Be genuine in your interactions. 2. Active listening and empathy go a long way in deepening connections. 3. Vulnerability, while sometimes scary, often leads to more meaningful relationships. 4. Consistency and effort are crucial. Relationships need nurturing. 5. Respect for boundaries, both yours and others, is essential for healthy connections. 6. Gratitude and celebration of others strengthen bonds. 7. Shared experiences, whether activities or challenges, can deepen connections. By focusing on cultivating meaningful connections, you're not just enriching your own life, you're creating a network of relationships where selective kindness can have a profound and lasting impact. These connections become the channels through which genuine kindness flows, creating a ripple effect of positivity and support. In our final chapter, we'll explore how to integrate all the skills we've learned into living a life of balanced compassion, bringing together the various aspects of selective kindness into a cohesive lifestyle. Chapter 11. Living a life of balanced compassion. As we reach the culmination of our journey in mastering selective kindness, we arrive at the ultimate goal: living a life of balanced compassion. This chapter will synthesize all the concepts we've explored, showing how they come together to create a lifestyle that is both kind to others and nurturing to ourselves. Understanding balanced compassion. Balanced compassion is the art of extending kindness and care to others while also honoring our own needs and boundaries. It's about finding the sweet spot between selflessness and self-care, allowing us to be genuinely kind without depleting our own resources. Key elements of balanced compassion. 1. Self-awareness. 2. Healthy boundaries. 3. Genuine empathy. 4. Selective engagement. 5. Self-care practices. 6. Mindful decision-making. 7. Authentic expression of kindness. The importance of balanced compassion. Example: Maria, a social worker, initially threw herself completely into her work, often neglecting her own needs. She frequently felt burned out and resentful. After learning about balanced compassion, she began setting clearer boundaries at work and prioritizing self-care. As a result, she found she was able to be more present and effective with her clients, while also feeling more fulfilled in her personal life. Benefits of living with balanced compassion. 1. Sustainable kindness. 2. Improved mental and emotional well-being. 3. More authentic relationships. 4. Increased resilience. 5. Greater life satisfaction. 6. Positive impact on others without self-sacrifice. Strategies for living a life of balanced compassion. 1. Practice daily self-reflection. Regular self-reflection helps us stay attuned to our needs, emotions, and boundaries. Example: Tom started a daily journaling practice, spending 10 minutes each evening reflecting on his interactions, emotions, and needs. This habit helped him become more aware of when he was overextending himself and when he needed to set firmer boundaries. Technique: set aside time each day for self-reflection. This could be through journaling, meditation, or simply quiet contemplation. 2. Set and maintain clear boundaries. Healthy boundaries are crucial for balanced compassion, allowing us to be kind without being taken advantage of. Example: Sarah, a teacher, loved helping her students but found herself constantly working late and on weekends. She set a boundary of leaving work by 5 p.m. most days and not checking email on Sundays. This allowed her to recharge and be more present for her students during work hours. Technique: regularly assess your boundaries. Are they serving you? Are you communicating them clearly? Adjust as needed. 3. Practice mindful empathy. Empathy is key to compassion, but it's important to engage with others' emotions mindfully to avoid becoming overwhelmed. Example: as a counselor, Alex often found himself deeply affected by his clients' struggles. He learned to practice compassionate detachment, being fully present and empathetic during sessions, but then consciously letting go of the emotions afterward through a brief meditation. Technique: when engaging empathetically, imagine creating a protective bubble around yourself. You can see and feel others' emotions, but they don't overwhelm you. 4. Engage in regular self-care. Self-care isn't selfish. It's necessary for sustainable compassion. Example: Lisa, a busy executive and mother, felt guilty taking time for herself. She started small with a 15-minute daily walk. Over time, she expanded her self-care routine to include weekly yoga classes and monthly spa days. She found this made her more patient and present both at work and with her family. Technique: create a self-care menu with quick, 5-minute, medium, 30-minute, and longer, 2-hour-plus activities. Commit to engaging in at least one item from each category weekly. 5. Practice selective engagement. We can't be everything to everyone. Choosing where to focus our energy allows for deeper, more meaningful engagement. Example: John, a community volunteer, initially said yes to every request. He soon felt spread thin and ineffective. He decided to focus on 2 key initiatives that aligned with his skills and passions. This allowed him to make a more significant impact while maintaining balance in his life. Technique: before committing to something, ask yourself, does this align with my values and current capacity? Will engaging deeply here allow me to have a more meaningful impact? 6. Cultivate mindfulness. Mindfulness helps us stay present and make conscious choices about how we engage with others and ourselves. Example: Emily often found herself reacting automatically to requests for help, saying yes without considering her own needs. She started practicing mindfulness, pausing to take a breath before responding. This small act allowed her to make more conscious decisions about how to engage. Technique: practice the stop technique. Stop, take a breath, observe your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings, then proceed. 7. Express authentic kindness. When we act from a place of balanced compassion, our kindness becomes more genuine and impactful. Example, instead of grudgingly agreeing to help a colleague with a project, Mark honestly assessed his capacity. He realized he couldn't take on the whole project but offered to review a specific section where he had expertise. This focused, authentic help was more valuable than a half-hearted attempt at broader assistance. Technique. Before offering help, check in with yourself. Can you engage wholeheartedly? If not, is there a more authentic way you can offer support? 8. Regularly reassess and adjust. Living with balanced compassion is an ongoing process that requires regular reflection and adjustment. Example, every quarter, Rachel reviews her commitments, relationships, and self-care practices. She assesses what's working well and what needs adjustment. This regular check-in helps her maintain balance and make proactive changes before reaching burnout. Technique. Schedule regular life balance check-ins with yourself. Review your engagements, boundaries, and self-care practices. Make adjustments as needed. Real-life scenarios of living with balanced compassion. 1. The compassionate manager. Situation. David, a team leader in a high-pressure corporate environment, wanted to support his team while also maintaining his own well-being. Approach. David implemented no meeting Wednesdays to give everyone, including himself, focused work time. He started one-on-one check-ins with team members, practicing active listening while also being clear about work expectations. He modeled work-life balance by not sending emails outside of work hours unless truly urgent. When a team member was struggling, he offered support but also connected them with professional resources rather than trying to solve everything himself. Outcome: David's team became more productive and reported higher job satisfaction. David felt he was making a positive impact without sacrificing his own well-being. 2. The balanced caregiver. Situation. Maria was the primary caregiver for her elderly mother while also managing her own family and career. Approach. Maria set up a rotating schedule with her siblings for mother's care, ensuring she had regular breaks. She joined a support group for caregivers, allowing her to share experiences and feel less isolated. She practiced saying no to non-essential commitments, focusing her energy on priorities. She scheduled regular self-care activities, including a weekly yoga class and monthly massage. Outcome: Maria was able to provide loving care for her mother while also maintaining her own health and relationships. She felt more balanced and less resentful. 3. The compassionate activist. Situation. Alex was passionate about environmental causes, but often felt overwhelmed and burned out from constant activism. Approach. He chose to focus deeply on 2 key initiatives rather than trying to be involved in every environmental cause. He set clear boundaries around his activism time, ensuring he also had time for rest and personal relationships. He practiced mindfulness to stay grounded when facing discouraging news or setbacks. He cultivated a supportive community of fellow activists who understood the importance of balance. Outcome: Alex found he was able to make a more significant impact through his focused efforts. He felt energized by his activism rather than drained, and was able to sustain his engagement long-term. 4. The balanced educator. Situation. Sarah, a high school teacher, was known for her dedication to students but struggled with maintaining boundaries. Approach. She set office hours for student consultations rather than being available at all times. She practiced empathetic listening with students, but also learned to refer more serious issues to the school counselor. She committed to leaving work at least 3 days a week, using that time for personal interests and relationships. She started a mindfulness practice to help her transition between her teacher role and personal life. Outcome: Sarah found she was able to be more present and effective during her time with students. Her personal life flourished, and she felt a renewed passion for teaching. 5. The compassionate friend. Situation. Lisa was the go-to person in her friend group for emotional support, often at the expense of her own needs. Approach. She learned to set gentle boundaries, being clear about when she was and wasn't available for long talks. She practiced redirecting conversations to solutions rather than endless venting. She started expressing her own needs and asking for support when she needed it. She cultivated interests outside of her friend group, giving her a broader support network. Outcome: Lisa's friendships became more balanced and mutually supportive. She felt more fulfilled and less drained by her social interactions. Overcoming challenges in living with balanced compassion. 1. Guilt. Challenge. Many people feel guilty when they start setting boundaries or prioritizing self-care. Solution. Remember that balanced compassion allows you to be more effectively kind in the long run. Start small and notice how taking care of yourself improves your capacity to care for others. 2. Old habits. Challenge. Patterns of overgiving or neglecting self-care can be deeply ingrained. Solution. Be patient with yourself as you develop new habits. Celebrate small successes and don't be discouraged by setbacks. 3. External pressure. Challenge. Others may resist when you start setting boundaries or saying no. Solution. Communicate clearly and compassionately about your needs and the reasons for your changes. Remember that others' reactions are not your responsibility. 4. Perfectionism. Challenge. The desire to be perfectly compassionate can lead to imbalance. Solution. Embrace the idea of good enough compassion. Remember that balance is an ongoing process, not a perfect state to achieve. 5. Changing circumstances. Challenge. Life changes can disrupt carefully cultivated balance. Solution. Regular reassessment and flexibility are key. Be willing to adjust your approach as your circumstances and needs change. Conclusion. Living a life of balanced compassion is not about achieving a perfect state of equilibrium. Rather, it's about cultivating awareness, making conscious choices, and continuously adjusting as we navigate the complexities of life. It's a dynamic process that allows us to be genuinely kind and caring while also honoring our own needs and limitations. As you move forward in your practice of balanced compassion, remember: 1. Self-awareness is the foundation. Regular self-reflection helps you stay attuned to your needs and boundaries. 2. Boundaries are acts of kindness, both to yourself and others. They allow for more authentic and sustainable relationships. 3. Empathy is powerful, but it needs to be coupled with mindfulness to avoid emotional overwhelm. 4. Self-care is not selfish. It's a necessary component of sustainable compassion. 5. Selective engagement allows for deeper, more meaningful impact. 6. Mindfulness helps us make conscious choices about how we extend kindness. 7. Authentic kindness, rooted in genuine capacity and willingness, is far more valuable than obligatory help. 8. Regular reassessment and adjustment are crucial as our lives and circumstances change. By living with balanced compassion, you create a ripple effect of positive change. You model healthy boundaries and sustainable kindness for others. You create space for more authentic, mutually supportive relationships. And perhaps most importantly, you cultivate a sense of inner peace and fulfillment that allows your innate compassion to flourish. Remember, the journey of balanced compassion is ongoing. There will be times when you feel out of balance, and that's okay. The key is to keep coming back to these principles, adjusting your course as needed, and treating yourself with the same kindness and compassion you extend to others. As you continue on this path, may you find joy in the balance of giving and receiving, of caring for others and nurturing yourself. In doing so, you contribute to creating a world where kindness is not just a fleeting act, but a sustainable way of life. Chapter 12. Sustaining Selective Kindness in a Changing World. As we conclude our exploration of selective kindness, it's important to recognize that we live in a world of constant change. Technological advancements, social shifts, global events, and personal life changes can all impact our ability to practice balanced compassion. This final chapter will focus on how to sustain and adapt our practice of selective kindness in the face of these changes. The challenge of consistency. Maintaining any practice over time can be challenging, and selective kindness is no exception. Life's ups and downs can test our resolve and push us off balance. Example: Sarah had developed a good routine of balanced compassion, setting healthy boundaries at work and engaging in regular self-care. However, when a global pandemic hit, she found herself working from home, homeschooling her children, and feeling pressure to be constantly available. Her carefully cultivated balance was thrown into disarray. Key aspects of sustaining selective kindness: 1. Flexibility. 2. Continuous learning. 3. Resilience. 4. Adaptability. 5. Self-compassion. 6. Community support. 7. Regular reassessment. Strategies for sustaining selective kindness. 1. Embrace flexibility. Being flexible in how we practice selective kindness allows us to adapt to changing circumstances without losing sight of our core principles. Example: Tom, a social worker, had always valued in-person interactions with his clients. When face-to-face meetings became impossible due to social distancing measures, he learned to adapt his practice to virtual platforms. While challenging at first, he found new ways to convey empathy and set boundaries in the digital space. Technique: regularly ask yourself, how can I apply the principles of selective kindness in this new situation? Be open to unconventional solutions. 2. Commit to continuous learning. The landscape of human interaction is always evolving. Staying informed and open to new ideas can help us sustain and improve our practice of selective kindness. Example: Emily, a teacher, realized that her students' needs and communication styles were changing with each new generation. She committed to attending workshops on youth mental health and digital communication, allowing her to adapt her approach to selective kindness in the classroom. Technique: set aside time each month to learn about new developments in psychology, communication, or social dynamics. This could involve reading articles, attending webinars, or discussing with peers. 3. Build resilience. Resilience helps us maintain our practice of selective kindness even when faced with setbacks or challenges. Example: after losing his job, Alex initially struggled to maintain his balanced approach to compassion. He felt drained and found it hard to support others. By focusing on building his resilience through mindfulness practices and seeking support, he was able to navigate this difficult period while still practicing selective kindness. Technique: develop a resilience toolkit, a set of practices or resources you can turn to during challenging times. This might include meditation, journaling, or connecting with supportive friends. 4. Practice adaptability. Being adaptable allows us to apply the principles of selective kindness in new and changing contexts. Example: Lisa, an office manager, had to quickly adapt her leadership style when her team suddenly shifted to remote work. She found new ways to show care for her team members while also maintaining professional boundaries in a work-from-home environment. Technique: when faced with a new situation, take a moment to consider, what are the core principles of selective kindness I can apply here? How might I need to adjust my approach? 5. Cultivate self-compassion. Self-compassion is crucial for sustaining our practice of selective kindness, especially when we face setbacks or make mistakes. Example: despite his best efforts, Mark snapped at a coworker during a stressful project. Instead of berating himself, he practiced self-compassion. He acknowledged his mistake, apologized to his coworker, and reflected on how to better manage stress in the future. Technique: develop a self-compassion mantra to use when you fall short of your ideals. For example, I'm doing my best in a challenging situation. I can learn from this and move forward. 6. Seek community support. Having a supportive community can help us stay committed to our practice of selective kindness, especially during difficult times. Example: Maria joined a compassion and action group that met monthly to discuss challenges and successes in practicing balanced kindness. This community provided support, accountability, and fresh ideas for sustaining her practice. Technique: consider starting or joining a group focused on compassion and kindness. This could be in person or online. Regular check-ins with like-minded individuals can help sustain your practice. 7. Conduct regular self-assessments. Regular self-assessment helps us stay on track and make necessary adjustments to our practice of selective kindness. Example: David set a quarterly reminder to review his practice of selective kindness. He reflected on his successes, challenges, and areas for improvement. This regular check-in helped him stay committed and adapt his approach as needed. Technique: create a selective kindness check-in template with questions like, How well am I maintaining boundaries? Am I balancing self-care with care for others? Where do I need to adjust my practice? Real-life scenarios of sustaining selective kindness. 1. The evolving workplace. Situation: Jennifer, a team leader, had to adapt her practice of selective kindness when her company shifted to a hybrid work model. Approach: Jennifer established clear communication guidelines, setting expectations for response times to prevent always-on culture. She implemented virtual office hours for her team, providing dedicated time for support while maintaining boundaries. She adapted team-building activities to include both in-person and remote workers, fostering connection without overextending anyone. She regularly checked in with herself and her team about the effectiveness of these new approaches, remaining flexible and open to adjustments. Outcome: Jennifer successfully maintained a culture of care and support within her team while adapting to the new work environment. Her team reported feeling supported, but not overwhelmed. 2. Navigating social media. Situation: Alex, a social media influencer, struggled to maintain balanced compassion in the face of constant online interactions and pressure to be always available. Approach: Alex set specific hours for engaging with his audience, clearly communicating these times to his followers. He practiced selective engagement, choosing to respond thoughtfully to a few comments rather than superficially to many. He incorporated regular digital detoxes into his routine to recharge and maintain perspective. He used his platform to discuss the importance of boundaries and self-care, modeling these practices for his audience. Outcome: Alex was able to maintain a strong, supportive online community while also preserving his own well-being. His authentic approach to balanced compassion resonated with his followers, deepening their engagement. 3. Adapting to family changes. Situation: Sarah, a new mother, found her previous practices of selective kindness challenged by the demands of parenthood. Approach: Sarah adjusted her expectations, recognizing that her capacity for external engagement would be different during this phase of life. She found new ways to practice self-care that fit with her new schedule, like short meditation sessions during the baby's naps. She communicated clearly with friends and family about her new limitations and needs. She joined a support group for new parents, finding a community that understood her changing situation. Outcome: while Sarah's practice of selective kindness looked different than before, she was able to maintain the core principles, caring for herself and others in a sustainable way during a major life transition. 4. Responding to global crisis. Situation: during a global health crisis, Mark, a community organizer, felt overwhelmed by the need around him and struggled to maintain balanced compassion. Approach: Mark clarified his specific role and capacity in the crisis response, setting clear boundaries around his involvement. He practiced compassionate triage, focusing his efforts where he could have the most impact rather than trying to address every need. He prioritized his own health and self-care, recognizing that he couldn't help others if he became ill or burned out. He connected with other community leaders to share the load and provide mutual support. Outcome: by adapting his approach, Mark was able to make a significant contribution to his community's crisis response while also maintaining his own well-being. His example inspired others to practice sustainable engagement. 5. Evolving friendships. Situation: as her friends entered different life stages, marriage, parenthood, career changes, Emma found it challenging to maintain her practice of selective kindness within these changing dynamics. Approach: Emma had honest conversations with her friends about their changing needs and capacities. She adapted her ways of showing care, finding new methods that fit with her friends' new lifestyles. She practiced self-compassion when she couldn't meet all of her friends' expectations, recognizing that change is a natural part of relationships. She remained open to new friendships that aligned with her current life stage and values. Outcome: while some friendships naturally became less close, Emma was able to maintain meaningful connections with core friends. She also developed new, fulfilling relationships that supported her practice of selective kindness. Overcoming challenges in sustaining selective kindness. 1. Consistency in changing circumstances. Challenge: life changes can disrupt our established patterns of practicing selective kindness. Solution: focus on the principles rather than specific practices. The way you apply selective kindness may change, but the core values, balance, boundaries, authentic care can remain consistent. 2. Compassion fatigue. Challenge. Prolonged exposure to others' suffering, especially during times of widespread hardship, can lead to compassion fatigue. Solution. Recognize the signs of compassion fatigue: numbness, irritability, feeling overwhelmed. Prioritize self-care and don't hesitate to seek professional support if needed. 3. Societal pressure. Challenge. Society often praises unconditional giving, making it challenging to maintain a balanced approach to compassion. Solution. Remember that sustainable kindness is more valuable than momentary, depleting generosity. Be prepared to gently educate others about the importance of balanced compassion. 4. Technology and constant connectivity. Challenge. The always-on nature of modern technology can make it difficult to maintain boundaries and practice selective engagement. Solution. Set clear digital boundaries. Use technology intentionally to support your practice of selective kindness, rather than letting it dictate your availability. 5. Perfectionism. Challenge. The desire to practice selective kindness perfectly can lead to discouragement when we inevitably fall short. Solution. Embrace a growth mindset. View each challenge as an opportunity to learn and refine your practice. Celebrate small successes and improvements. Conclusion. Sustaining selective kindness in a changing world is not about maintaining a rigid set of practices. Rather, it's about holding true to the core principles of balanced compassion while remaining flexible and adaptive in how we apply them. As you move forward, remember: 1. Flexibility is key. Be willing to adapt your practices as your circumstances change. 2. Continuous learning keeps your practice of selective kindness relevant and effective. 3. Resilience helps you maintain your practice even in challenging times. 4. Adaptability allows you to apply the principles of selective kindness in new contexts. 5. Self-compassion is crucial for sustaining your practice over the long term. 6. Community support can provide encouragement, accountability, and fresh perspectives. 7. Regular self-assessment helps you stay on track and make necessary adjustments. The world will continue to change, presenting new challenges and opportunities for practicing selective kindness. By remaining committed to the core principles while staying flexible in your approach, you can sustain a practice of balanced compassion that enriches your life and positively impacts those around you. Remember, the goal is not perfection but continuous growth and learning. There will be times when you struggle to maintain balance, when you overextend yourself, or when you fall short of your ideals. These moments are not failures, but opportunities for growth and deeper understanding. As you continue on this journey, be kind to yourself. Celebrate your efforts and successes, learn from your challenges, and remain open to the ever-evolving nature of practicing selective kindness in a dynamic world. By committing to this path, you contribute to creating a more compassionate world, one that recognizes the importance of balancing care for others with care for oneself. Your practice of selective kindness, sustained over time and adapted to changing circumstances, has the power to inspire others and create ripples of positive change far beyond what you might imagine. May your journey of selective kindness be one of continuous discovery, growth, and profound impact, both for yourself and for the world around you. Epilogue. The ripple effect of selective kindness. As we come to the end of our journey exploring selective kindness, it's important to step back and consider the broader impact of this practice. While we've focused primarily on how selective kindness can improve our individual lives and immediate relationships, the truth is that its effects extend far beyond our personal sphere. In this epilogue, we'll explore the ripple effect of selective kindness and how it can contribute to creating a more compassionate and balanced world. The power of example. One of the most profound ways that selective kindness creates change is through the power of example. When we practice balanced compassion, we model healthy behavior for others. Example: Maria, a manager at a high-pressure tech company, began implementing principles of selective kindness in her leadership style. She set clear boundaries around work hours, encouraged her team to take regular breaks, and prioritized meaningful connections over constant availability. Over time, her team members began adopting similar practices. The culture of her department shifted, becoming more productive and less stressed. Other managers, noticing the positive changes, began to inquire about her methods. This scenario illustrates how one person's commitment to selective kindness can influence not just their immediate circle, but can spread throughout an organization. By living these principles, we silently give others permission to do the same, creating a culture of balance. As more individuals practice selective kindness, it can lead to broader cultural shifts. We move from a culture that values constant giving and availability to one that recognizes the importance of balance and boundaries. Example: in a small community, a group of parents began practicing selective kindness in their approach to volunteering at their children's school. Instead of a few parents burning out by trying to do everything, they created a system of rotating responsibilities. They communicated clearly about their capacity and encouraged others to do the same. Over time, this approach spread to other community organizations. The town became known for its engaged but balanced volunteer culture, attracting new residents who valued this approach to community involvement. This example shows how selective kindness can transform not just individual lives, but entire communities. It creates a new normal where balance is valued and sustainable engagement is the goal, enhancing empathy and understanding. Practicing selective kindness often involves deep listening and genuine empathy. As we become more attuned to our own needs and boundaries, we often become better at recognizing and respecting those of others. Example: Alex, a social worker, found that as he practiced selective kindness in his own life, he became more effective in his work with clients. He was better able to help them identify their own boundaries and needs. His improved listening skills and genuine empathy, cultivated through his practice of selective kindness, allowed him to connect more deeply with clients and guide them towards more balanced lives. This ripple effect of enhanced empathy and understanding can lead to more compassionate and effective helping professions, ultimately benefiting countless individuals. Improving mental health on a societal level. As selective kindness becomes more widespread, it has the potential to positively impact mental health on a broader scale. The principles of balanced compassion align well with many mental health best practices. Example: a large corporation decided to implement selective kindness principles in its wellness program. They offered workshops on boundary setting, encouraged managers to model work-life balance, and created spaces for meaningful connection among employees. Over the course of a year, they saw a significant decrease in reported stress levels and an increase in job satisfaction. Absenteeism decreased, and productivity improved. This example illustrates how selective kindness, when adopted on an organizational level, can contribute to better mental health outcomes for large groups of people. Fostering authentic relationships. One of the core aspects of selective kindness is the focus on quality over quantity in relationships. As this principle spreads, it has the potential to create a society with deeper, more authentic connections. Example: in a world increasingly dominated by social media, a movement inspired by selective kindness began to gain traction. People started to prioritize fewer, deeper connections over large numbers of superficial online friendships. Apps were developed to encourage meaningful interactions and help users set healthy digital boundaries. Gradually, people reported feeling more genuinely connected and less isolated, despite having fewer friends on social platforms. This shift towards valuing authentic relationships can lead to a more emotionally connected and supportive society, creating sustainable compassion. Perhaps one of the most significant ripple effects of selective kindness is its potential to create a more sustainably compassionate world. By teaching people to balance self-care with care for others, we create a model of compassion that doesn't lead to burnout. Example: a group of humanitarian aid workers, struggling with high turnover due to burnout, implemented principles of selective kindness in their organization. They encouraged regular breaks, provided mental health support, and helped workers set clear boundaries. They also trained local communities in these principles. Over time, they found that not only did their worker retention improve, but the communities they served began to develop more sustainable, locally led support systems. This example shows how selective kindness can transform even high-stakes, high-stress environments, creating more sustainable models of care and compassion. Challenges and considerations. While the ripple effects of selective kindness are predominantly positive, it's important to acknowledge that this shift can also present challenges. 1. Misunderstanding. Some may initially misinterpret selective kindness as selfishness or a lack of care. Example: when Sam first started practicing selective kindness, some of his friends accused him of becoming selfish because he no longer dropped everything to help them at a moment's notice. It took time and patient explanation for them to understand that Sam's new boundaries actually allowed him to be a more reliable and present friend in the long run. 2. Resistance to change. Especially in cultures or organizations where self-sacrifice is highly valued, there may be resistance to the principles of selective kindness. Example: when a new principal tried to implement selective kindness principles at a school known for its teachers' dedication and long hours, she initially faced significant pushback. Teachers worried that setting firmer boundaries would mean caring less for their students. It took time and demonstrable positive results for the staff to embrace the new approach. 3. Balancing individual and collective needs. As more people practice selective kindness, there may be instances where individual boundaries seem to conflict with collective needs. Example: in a small nonprofit, the practice of selective kindness meant that staff members became more assertive about not working overtime. While this was healthier for individuals, the organization initially struggled to meet some of its commitments. They had to creatively restructure and sometimes scale back their initiatives to create a more sustainable model. These challenges highlight the need for clear communication, patience, and sometimes creative problem-solving as the practice of selective kindness spreads. Looking to the future. As we conclude our exploration of selective kindness, it's exciting to imagine a future where these principles are widely understood and practiced. Envision a world where workplaces value employee well-being as much as productivity. Schools teach children about boundaries and balance compassion alongside traditional subjects. Healthcare systems support both patients and caregivers in maintaining healthy balance. Digital spaces are designed to foster meaningful connection rather than constant engagement. Communities come together in ways that are supportive yet respectful of individual needs and limitations. This vision is not a utopia where everyone is perfectly kind all the time. Rather, it's a world where people understand the importance of balance, respect boundaries, their own and others, and strive to engage in genuine, sustainable compassion. Your role in the ripple effect. As you move forward from this book, remember that you play a crucial role in creating this ripple effect. Every time you practice selective kindness, whether it's setting a healthy boundary, engaging in genuine empathy, or taking time for necessary self-care, you're contributing to this broader shift. Your practice might inspire a friend to examine their own boundaries. Your modeling of balanced compassion might help a family member understand that it's okay to prioritize their well-being. Your authentic, quality-focused approach to relationships might encourage a colleague to seek more meaningful connections. Remember, too, that creating this ripple effect doesn't require grand gestures or perfect execution. It's in the small, daily choices. The gentle no to an unreasonable request, the genuine moment of connection in a busy day, the decision to take a restorative break when you need it. These small actions, consistently practiced and compounded over time, have the power to create significant change. Conclusion. As we close this book, I encourage you to carry these principles of selective kindness with you. Remember that your practice is not just for you, although you will certainly benefit from it. Your commitment to balanced compassion has the potential to positively impact your family, your workplace, your community, and beyond. There will be challenges along the way. You'll have days when balance feels impossible, when boundaries get blurred, or when the old habits of people-pleasing or self-neglect creep back in. In these moments, be kind to yourself. Remember that this is a lifelong practice, not a destination to reach. Return to the principles and strategies we've explored in this book. Reflect on how far you've come. Reconnect with your reasons for practicing selective kindness. And then, with self-compassion and renewed intention, continue on your journey. Your practice of selective kindness is a gift to yourself, to your loved ones, and to the world. As you move forward, know that each time you choose balanced compassion, you're creating a ripple effect of positive change. You're contributing to a more sustainable, authentic, and truly compassionate world. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of selective kindness. May your journey forward be filled with meaningful connections, healthy boundaries, and the joy that comes from living a life of balanced compassion.